Good morning. Could a general election be on the horizon?
Well, allies of Sir Keir Starmer are warning Labour MPs that any move to oust the Prime Minister could backfire and trigger a national vote.
It comes as tension at the top of government shows no signs of easing after a row inside Downing Street over West Streeting appears to have badly misfired, with suggestions the Prime Minister's chief aide, Morgan McSweeney, is to blame.
Well, here's Wes Streeting, the Health Secretary, addressing the rumour.
Most unwarranted attack on a faithful since Joe Marler was banished in the Traitors final. And I think whoever's been briefing this should spend a little less time watching Celebrity Traitors and a bit more time watching Country File.
So, has the Prime Minister lost control?
Meanwhile, in America...
Is the President prepared to bankrupt the BBC?
The President has made it very clear that this is a leftist propaganda machine that is unfortunately subsidized by British taxpayers.
Well, Bev Turner asked a question at the White House press briefing. Just how real is the possibility that President Trump could sue the BBC?
Elsewhere, our Home and Security editor Mark White will be joining us later in the show with an exclusive on the small boats crisis.
Making a splash for all the wrong reasons. According to reports, the Olympian Adam Peaty has uninvited his own mother from his wedding to Gordon Ramsay's daughter. So we're asking this morning, do weddings bring out the best in love or the worst in families?
As young people complain about struggling to access mental health services, we're going to be debating if the mental health crisis is being caused by overdiagnosis.
And later in the programme, we'll be talking to the Blackadder actor and national treasure, Sir Tony Robinson, who'll be telling us why he's trying to break the stigma around prostate cancer.
A very good morning. Attention turns to Wembley tonight as England face Serbia, having already qualified for the World Cup. We'll hear from manager Thomas Tuchel later this hour. In boxing, we continue the countdown to Eubank Ben 2, while Anthony Joshua is reportedly in talks to fight Jake Paul in Miami next month.
It's quite a mixed bag of weather through today. In the south, lots of fine sunshine to be had, and with that feeling very mild. But all change. Tomorrow is going to bring some heavy rain and strong winds. Stick around to find out the details.
It's just gone 6 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast. Now, earlier this week on Breakfast, we were talking about driving tests and how difficult it is to get one. Apparently, well, it started in lockdown, but now you have to wait weeks, potentially even months, to get driving tests. There's actually cases that Christopher Hope was saying that his daughter is driving 100 miles away to do a driving test because she can't get one locally.
Plenty of practice.
Plenty of practice. But that's what's happening. Anyway, the Army is now being drafted in to tackle this huge backlog of driving tests. Some people waiting up to 5 months for a booking. So this is 36 defence driving examiners. These are civilians who check if service personnel can manoeuvre armoured tankers and things like that. They're going to carry out public driving tests 1 day a week for a year. So they're going to be taking 6,500 tests.
Oh, that's fantastic.
We might end up going to the old system. My dad was 18 when he passed his driving test in 1951, but he didn't need a test. You just applied and got your licence.
Bought the licence. Yeah.
Is that what you used to do? Oh,
Not in Stephen's time.
No, I had to sit test. Didn't have a written test, though, in my day.
Yeah, the theory test.
Yeah.
See, that was the fun bit. I was quite good at the theory
introduced
test.
in 1996, I believe.
Was it? Well, that's quite fun. It's just general knowledge and things.
I just wonder how these youngsters will cope with people who are used to dealing with members of the army. Because if you do something wrong...
That could be quite tough, yeah.
Oh, it's going to be tough. They're not going to be nice. Oh, dear, no, you very nearly hit that pedestrian there. Never mind. I'm afraid you've failed. Oh, it'll be a lot tougher than that.
Yeah.
Especially the defensive driving is unbelievable.
I bet it is, yeah.
That's
a skill.
Because actually, you sort of literally sometimes have to sort of drive into people on that. There's all that sort of... it's you know, for war zones and all that, when you're under attack, you literally sort of drive into people who are firing at you and all that.
My younger brother failed a couple of times in London, and so he drove to Herne Bay. Well, he went down to Herne Bay in Kent, a seaside town in November.
A bit easier.
Where it was a bit easier. You could do a 3-point turn as it was then. It's now turning the road, isn't it? But you could do it without any traffic around. It's a bit easier, and he passed.
Oh, good for him.
But then he came back to drive in London.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, nightmare.
No, well, I don't know. Yeah.
But he passed his
He
test.
passed his test. At least he's
That's what
driving
matters.
legally.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
half the battle.
Anyway, I'd like it to be Gogglebox, but inside that car, and just see how the teenagers get along with the defence driving exam.
Maureen from driving school, remember that?
It would be a great series, wouldn't it?
It would be great, yeah, because there's no messing about. Quite entertaining.
Yes, very good.
Anyway, what else is entertaining this morning? All the drama in Downing Street. Allies of the Prime Minister have warned Labour plotters that removing him could trigger a general election, which, looking at the polls at the moment, would be devastating for the party.
Well, that's as the Prime Minister is under pressure to sack his Chief of Staff, Morgan McSweeney. It's after Number 10 was accused of briefing against the Health Secretary.
Well, the PM has ordered an inquiry into the source of the accusations. Surely they must know, and vowed to take action against those responsible.
Well, Wes Streeting, the Health Secretary, has denied plotting a coup, describing the situation as toxic and juvenile.
Yesterday, he appeared at an NHS conference where he tried to make light of the situation.
Most unwarranted attack on a faithful since Joe Marler was banished in the Traitors final, and I think whoever's been briefing this should spend a little less time watching Celebrity Traitors and a bit more time watching Country File.
Well, let's speak now to political commentator Andy Williams, who's in the studio with us. Morning to you, Andy.
Good morning.
This has spectacularly backfired, hasn't it, for Number 10?
100%. I mean, Wes Streeting, I think, emerged from yesterday strengthened, not weakened. It makes Number 10 look childish, not focused on the job at hand, chaotic. It's a complete mess. And actually, it's easy to forget now, but nearly 10 million people voted for Labour 18 months ago, and so many of those people are going to feel incredibly let down by Downing Street focusing on all of this stuff when there are so many problems to deal with.
Well, clarify it for us. It's when we say it's backfired, what exactly has happened here? Is it a case that there has been serious plots against the Prime Minister? Or, what has actually happened to your understanding here?
So it's a couple of things. I think, firstly, Keir Starmer never had a really strong base of support within the Parliamentary Labour Party. He doesn't have, unlike previous Prime Ministers, a big cohort of MPs who are his supporters. They backed him because he was a winner, and now he doesn't look much like a winner. Labour are polling at 17%. So the backbenchers, who, by the way, are largely to the left of him as well, they're fed up with him. So that's the first thing. Then within the cabinet, there's growing frustration about what they see as a lack of leadership. Number 10 has been totally chaotic. He's lost a chief of staff, a director of communications, the director of strategy. People don't feel like he has a grip on things, and his popularity ratings are through the floor. So all of this is leading to people starting to say, are we best served by Keir Starmer being Prime Minister, or should we be looking elsewhere? Now, I think Number 10 in the last 10 days or so are increasingly fearful that this could all bubble over into actually a leadership challenge. I don't think that would have necessarily happened, but they've made it more likely by behaving like this, because I think it makes colleagues of Keir Starmer's go, do you know what, we're fed up with these people.
But can they put the genie back in the bottle now that it's out?
I think it's very, very difficult to, if you think about previous Prime Ministers who've been toppled, once people start openly talking about who might their successor be, what might the mechanism be to get rid of them, they tend to be, not always, they tend to be on borrowed time. It's very rare that you recover your authority. Now, we've got a budget just under 2 weeks' time, and if that goes down as badly as it could, lots of people have been talking about, well, will Rachel Reeves be the fall guy? Actually, Reeves and Starmer are intrinsically linked, and I think it's just as likely that somebody goes over the top to challenge Starmer. The only thing he has in his favour is that, a general election for Labour would be a catastrophe right now. Clearly, they'd get hammered. And also, the mechanism for removing him it's not straightforward.
But in terms of what do we believe, though, in all of this? Because, Wes Streeting very much denying that he's plotting against the Prime Minister, though they always do it through aides. And so do we believe that? Do we believe the Prime Minister when he says, I'll find out who's been doing all this and briefing against it all, when if it's Morgan McSweeney, he must know? So what, are they all lying through their teeth?
So advisors like Morgan McSweeney, they would only do something like this on they're doing it on the tacit authority of the Prime Minister, in which case that's a massive problem, or they've gone rogue. And if they've gone rogue, they do need to be sacked, as Wes Streeting said. So I think Prime Minister's in a real bind now because he said he's going to, inverted commas, find the person who's done this. Well, that implies he actually has to find the person and then sack them. There's no chance he's going to get rid of Morgan McSweeney.
You don't think?
No chance. Because Morgan McSweeney
he's become a lightning rod for criticism.
Yeah, he is. Not only is he Starmer's right-hand man and one of the few people Keir Starmer trusts, but he's also his political brain. And what I mean by that is Keir Starmer, and this is one of the big criticisms of him, he doesn't have a strategy or a sense of direction, really. Morgan McSweeney is the person who has a vision for the country, so getting rid of him would basically be the end of the Starmer project. It's, you know, it's really, really dark days, I think.
Is it a case now of the, I mean, as it says on the front of one of the papers this one, I think it's the Express, that the Prime Minister is in office but not in power?
I don't think we're quite there yet, but more days like yesterday risk us getting to that stage quite quickly. And to your question about, you know, was Wes Streeting actually mounting a leadership challenge? No, I don't think he was. I've not
this stage.
Well,
anyway.
I've not seen any evidence that he's actually been canvassing. But equally, there's no doubt. I mean, he's on the record as saying, "I want to be Prime Minister." This guy is super ambitious. He's wanted to be Prime Minister since he was a student. He's been involved in politics for that entire time. I mean, there was a video that resurfaced yesterday from 2018 where they asked a bunch of MPs on all sides of the House, who do you think will be Prime Minister in 10 years' time? And Wes Streeting said, probably me. Right? He wants to be Prime Minister, there's no doubt about it.
Don't they?
They all do, they're all ambitious.
They all want the top job.
And I think that's fine. And as it happens, I think he'd be pretty good at it. But I don't think he's been going around plotting or canvassing.
Just very, very briefly, you're very often come on the show and defend the Labour government.
Yeah.
You haven't done that at all today, which I find fascinating.
No. I mean, you can't at the moment. And actually, the budget is a whole separate conversation. But the way they're going about the budget, having made a cast-iron promise, which I said with you guys 18 months ago they should never have made, and now they're going to have to break it. And if you break a central manifesto pledge, you lose trust and you lose authority, and that's really difficult to come back from.
OK. Andy Williams, thank you very much. See you in the next hour.
Thank you.
Interesting, isn't it? Let's turn our attention to the United States, should we? Well, we've been getting stuck into the White House press conference.
Yes, Bev Turner asked a question yesterday to the President's press secretary, Caroline Levitt, about Donald Trump suing the BBC over a doctored speech. Let's have a listen.
Does this strain the relationship between the President and the Prime Minister? And given that the organisation is publicly funded, is the President prepared to bankrupt the BBC?
Well, thank you, Bev. There's a lot of questions in one there. I will say I know the President has a very good relationship with Prime Minister Starmer. You have been there. You've seen them in their interactions. You've questioned both leaders in your time joining us when we've gone to the United Kingdom a few different times now. However, he has always been very frank when he disagrees with leaders, even whom he has a good relationship with. And the BBC, being a fair news organization, is definitely an outlet. I think these two leaders would disagree. The President has made it very clear that this is a leftist propaganda machine that is unfortunately subsidized by British taxpayers, and he thinks that's extremely unfortunate for the great people of the United Kingdom and Great Britain. And I think that the President was deeply concerned by the editing, the purposeful and dishonest editing of his speech that was so clearly fake news. And he rightfully dubbed that term many years ago, and this is a classic example of that. We see it in the United States all the time. We see it now in the United Kingdom. As you know, the President's external legal counsel has filed a lawsuit against the BBC. We expect that to continue, and whether they apologize or not is up to them. Thanks for being here, Bev.
Right, Donald Trump has given the BBC until tomorrow night to respond to his legal claim, where he is threatening to sue the broadcaster for $1 billion unless they sort of put up an apology and offer some sort of settlement.
Well, host of the People Politics podcast, Paul Duddridge, joins us now. Very good morning to you, Paul. What do you make of what Caroline Levitt had to say there about the BBC being a leftist propaganda machine?
I I don't find any dispute with her words at all. Not only did Caroline Levitt make that statement, she actually called on Bev Turner first, I understand, and that's actually quite a prestigious position. So it just shows that GB News is actually being treated with, quite rightly, more respect than the BBC at the moment. That's actually a sort of a status point right there in the room. No, I completely agree with Caroline Levitt, and it's great to see that the Trump administration is standing up for the British people toward the BBC. Somebody has to do it. I mean, there's been years and years of bias. I think a lot of people would feel that there's bias anyway from the BBC, and it's good to see that somebody's actually in a position to do something about standing up to them and can't just be shrugged off, even though they were for 6 months when this report was made. Was passed on to the heads of the BBC. It was ignored for 6 months, I think. It's been going on since about May. So, yeah, I completely agree with Caroline Levitt's assessment of the BBC and its current behaviour.
All right, well, we'll have to see how the BBC responds by that deadline tomorrow night. In the meantime, and it's being reported, I mean, no doubt right across the United States, but here in the UK as well, about the release now of this sort of whole tranche of Epstein files, all these emails which have now come out, either emails between Trump and the Epstein team or emails about Trump from Epstein to other people.
Yeah, there's three particular smoking gun emails between Ghislaine and Epstein, and Michael Wolff, who I think wrote has been sort of writing books about Donald Trump for years. Look, there's still enough ambiguity in those emails. I wish the Trump administration, look, I'm an out-and-out MAGA Trump supporter, so, but I don't think this has been handled well by the Trump administration. This looks bad for Donald Trump, but it doesn't look administration ending bad. It looks like there's enough ambiguity in there. We're still at the position where the wording of these emails are such things as Epstein saying he knew about the girls. And it's like, well, he knew about the girls and actually banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago in 2007. So that's a reasonable interpretation of the accusations in that exchange. And so there's still nothing. I mean, I think he's offering to show photographs of Trump with bikini-clad girls, and it's like still. None of them seem to actually pass the line of criminality. And I think the most important telling thing is that those emails were redacted initially. Virginia Giuffre's name was redacted. And again, if one wanted to cast aspersions on Donald Trump, you would redact that name. It's the White House that said the redacted name is Virginia Giuffre. So, Trump actually finally acting on the front foot to, offer information to the American voter and the American public. And I wish they'd done that sooner. I just wish that the Trump administration had been much more forthcoming, much more quickly, because Trump, as you say, 23,000 emails. I think there's 3 that are fairly ambiguous and not career ending. And we're not talking about any of the other names in those emails. And I think that's simply because of the mishandling of this whole affair by the Trump administration, sadly.
Do you think that all of the Epstein files should just be released then?
I do. I do, and that's what MAGA. If there is a split in MAGA, it is that look, there's great loyalty towards Donald Trump. We wouldn't have any of the advances we've had, but they campaigned on releasing the Epstein files. This is what they actually campaigned on, and I'm not saying that MAGA wouldn't have voted for him otherwise, but they did campaign on this, and it's like, okay, then release them all. And there's an inoculation almost going on that amongst the MAGA followers that, look, if there was something really incriminating in those files about Trump, then the Biden administration would have used them, as opposed to the kind of flimsy cases that were brought against Donald Trump. And so there's a kind of there's a sort of odd paralysis going on, where it's like, we don't think there's anything particularly terrible. This is supposed to be, again, these terrible emails, but there's enough ambiguity in them. But it seems to have been ham-fistedly covered up. And it's a bit like Watergate. The cover-up is worse than the actual crime. If Trump had come clean with these months ago, then I think that the whole thing would be in the rear-view mirror by now. So yeah, I think it's been really. I think it's a case of mishandling, and I think this probably stems from Bondi's comments, Pam Bondi. Attorney General in February saying the file's on my desk, and it's like, oh, there was no file. Don't say that. And that's the beginning of the Keystone cops dealing with this particular issue.
Yeah. All right, Paul. Thanks very much indeed. Good to see you. Sometimes it's just better to rip the plaster off, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the same could be said. I mean, as Paul was saying there, the cover-up is worse than the situation itself. I mean, you could say that about the BBC, couldn't you? I mean, this was first reported...
Oh, absolutely.
Well, I mean, within the BBC, they were talking about this and that memo in January. I mean, if that had been dealt with internally, we wouldn't even know about it.
No.
But it was ignored, and now here we are.
Even if they did it in a public way, I said, this has happened, we're really unhappy, time for some people to go, we need to reevaluate how we do things.
Yeah.
Then again, you know, Tim Davie would still be in his job, I don't know about Deborah Turness, but, you know, it could have been handled without all of this.
Anyway, let us know what you think. gbnews.com/you'll say.
All right, at 6:20, let's have a look at the weather with Alex Burkill.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning, I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Through today there'll be a bit of a three-way split when it comes to our weather. Cold in the north with a few wintry showers, very mild with a lot of fine weather across southern parts. In between, however, it's a much wetter story. Some persistent and quite heavy rain across Northern Ireland, southern Scotland and northern England through this morning. The rain breaking up and easing a little bit as we head into the afternoon. Across Scotland, like I say, there will be some showers around, could be falling as sleet or snow, but also some sunny spells. A chilly feel here though, temperatures struggling. Meanwhile, across central and southern England, well, lots of fine sunny weather to be had and temperatures well above average for the time of year, feeling, well, relatively warm in the sunshine for some. As we go into the evening, sticking with the chilly feel across parts of Scotland, a bit of frost developing quite quickly as we go overnight, and also a few more showers, some still falling as sleet or snow. Across Northern Ireland, southern Scotland and northern England, staying pretty cloudy. There will be a few outbreaks of rain at times as well, not as heavier as they will have been during the daytime. And then further south, well, central parts of England and Wales ending the day largely fine, but rain persistent and heavy pushing into some southern counties and then feeding further northwards as we go overnight. Now, it is going to be quite heavy. We could see some rainfall totals building up for some places, but across the northern half of the UK, staying drier with some clearer skies across parts of Scotland, so temperatures dropping even further. Could get as low as -4, -5 Celsius in some places, much milder where we have the cloud and rain further south. That rain's going to continue then for many places across England and Wales as we go through tomorrow. It could be quite heavy, particularly across the hills and mountains towards the south of Wales. High rainfall totals, perhaps up to 100 millimetres, could cause some impacts, particularly around some east-facing slopes. Further north, staying bright and fine, just a few showers to watch out for. Chilly here, much milder towards the south, but unpleasant in the wind and rain.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Now, at 6:22, it's time now for our daily reflection.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Hello, my name's Andrew Satch and I'm an Anglican minister at Grace Church Greenwich. I want to talk today about getting things in perspective. Small things, big things, small things that seem like big things. The verb to catastrophize, coined by a psychologist in the 1960s to describe exactly that. And then something that really is bigger comes along. I was worried about my accountancy exam, says somebody, until the police arrived at the door. I was worried about the court case until I got the cancer diagnosis. I was worried about the chemotherapy until the earthquake struck. Bad things can be put in perspective by bigger bad things. But we can also get a sense of proportion if we think of bigger, glorious things. You know, I can get through the last 2 weeks of work because then it's my summer holiday. Because Jesus died and rose again and ascended to heaven and one day will return, those who trust in him have something much bigger to look forward to. And so the Bible says in chapter 8 of Paul's epistle to the Romans, I consider that the present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us.
Now, still to come for you this morning, a little town has contacted GB News about a monster warehouse being built. We'll tell you more in a moment.
Bold.
They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
(6:27). Good morning to you. Now, people living in the village of Pilning in Gloucestershire have told GB News a new 25-metre tall warehouse has ruined the area and devalued their homes.
Well, our national reporter Jack Carson has the story.
There's a dark shadow that's begun to loom over the Gloucestershire village of Pilning. This 500,000 square foot warehouse, better known to locals as the Mega Shed, rises more than 20 metres in the sky. Construction of what is officially an industrial distribution hub has been allowed to go ahead due to old planning consent dating back to 1957. The scheme was part of a post-war building initiative allowing developers to build without a full public consultation, leaving residents in the dark.
I'd just like to thank everybody for gathering here today on Cranmore Green.
But locals aren't lying down. Similar developments in other parts of the country have spurred them on to start an action group. Joanne McCready is one local resident leading the charge.
This is a ginormous mega shed. There'll be light pollution, noise pollution. The lorries will be coming down our B road. If it was the original height, which I think was around 16 metres, we wouldn't see this. it wouldn't be as big as an issue.
Residents now meet frequently to discuss concerns and plan their fight back.
Well, they want a quieter, more peaceful life, and bit by bit that's being eroded.
I think it's absolutely disgraceful that they've been allowed to build something that high and of that magnitude as close to the properties that it is.
We feel diminished. We feel that we, not a proper human in this case.
Rising above the roofs, local estate agents estimate this stadium-sized structure has devalued house prices in the area by 10%.
So you can see out of this window here how big the warehouse is and why we've nicknamed it the mega shed.
Retired policeman Paul Selby is greeted by the warehouse every time he opens his curtains.
I don't think you need to be a magician to work out that they've not taken any account of the impact that the thing's going to have on the local area. You can see it from all over the place, and everybody is commenting that it's completely spoilt what was a rural village.
A spokesperson for South Gloucestershire Council said much of the new development at Sevenside is governed by planning permission granted in 1957. This permission gives wide-ranging powers for development with limited remaining control for the council to exercise. A government spokesperson said councils are ultimately responsible for reviewing old permissions if the development is no longer suitable and deciding whether action is necessary. But local MP Claire Young believes similar developments around the country means it is a matter for Parliament.
At the moment, the government appears to be saying, no, it's not really our problem. And I think it is. That's why I want to get a minister in front of me in the chamber so I can explain what I think the problem is and what could be done about it.
Calls for change are getting louder, but they can't dampen the anger of local residents, with this warehouse looking set to stay. Jack Carson, GB News, Pilning.
I mean, frankly, it's a disgrace. We need big warehouses.
Of course
Fine.
you do, yeah.
Just don't put them right next to houses.
I know.
And B roads and all that. I mean, do it properly.
Such a horrible view as well for people in those houses, isn't it?
Well, it is going to devalue those homes. Ordinary people who suddenly find thousands and thousands of pounds taken off the value of their homes.
Yeah.
It's not right.
And they wouldn't have had any idea that that was going to be built.
Well, no.
But they actually got in touch with GB News directly. Those people in Gloucestershire saying we need to talk about this. So thank you for getting in touch. And if you do have anything you do want us to cover, do let us know, because we will cover it for you. If it matters to you, it matters to us. gbnews.com/you'll-say.
Now, time for the Great British Giveaway. If you're feeling festive, then this is the way to go. You can have your entire Christmas and actually plenty of cash left over, all on us. Here's how.
You could win your entire Christmas on us this year, all magically delivered to you in time for the big day. There's cash, £30,000 in tax-free cash to make your new year go with a bang. There's also a further £10,000 to spend on all the gifts, the tree, the trimmings, everything you might need for a fantastic festive day. We've also got Christmas lunch for you, with £1,000 in vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. And finally, a festive GB News goodie bag, so there's something for everyone under the tree. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry starts at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB 17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 8th of December. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck. Now, if you're travelling to work or school this morning, here's your traffic and travel update.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Currently on the M8 at Junction 4, eastbound traffic faces delays due to a broken down vehicle. Motorists should approach cautiously, anticipating extended travel times. A weight restriction of 7.5 tonnes remains indefinitely for heavy goods vehicles on the M48. Meanwhile, on the M20 eastbound entry slip at Junction 8, an overturned vehicle has closed all lanes. Expected normal conditions are between 10:45 and 11 this morning. And on the trains, Avanti West Coast is experiencing disruption between Lockerbie and Oxenholme Lake District, and Great Western Railway is facing disruptions on multiple routes. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Now, still to come, England may have qualified for the World Cup already, but there's still games to play. We'll get the latest from Aidan in a moment.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, this is Jubes & Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here. GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show. It's not a bad brand. Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. It's sports time with Aidan, who's here with us. Morning.
Good morning.
What have you got for us?
Look, I wanted to focus on England because they're playing tonight against Serbia. Now, we know that England have already qualified, so there's not much riding on the match at Wembley this evening. But what happens when there's not much going on the pitch? We think ahead. We think what's going to happen at the World Cup next summer. And I just believe that Thomas Tuchel is gearing up now to deliver some bad news to Jude Bellingham, the star of the previous tournament, of course, in the Euros in Germany last summer, or sorry, summer of 2024. And look, everything's pointing to me towards the fact that he's just preparing, laying the ground for Jude Bellingham to be dropped. That'd be a huge shock. Because look, I don't think he's not been in sizzling form this season for Real Madrid, and he's had a shoulder surgery. Maybe Ellie just doesn't fancy him as a player. Maybe he sees something with an objective eye that we don't see. And he's not been performing particularly well for England recently. He's not been involved in some of the starting lineups. Phil Foden has come right back into form for a resurgent Manchester City. And Thomas Tuchel said yesterday in his press conference, he said that, and it's great, it was the headline on the back of the Mail today, referring to the shirt number. It says the battle for number 10. And Thomas Tuchel said that only 2 from Bellingham, Foden and Harry Kane can play in that particular role. Let's have a listen to what he said now, just looking ahead to the game tonight against Serbia.
I didn't feel us experimenting in the last 2 camps, and we will not start in this camp.
This is a package of 3 camps. We take it serious. It's World Cup qualifiers, home match. We're here to win. We want to build on what we built and keep on going.
So that's Thomas Tuchel there. As I said, nothing riding on the game particularly tonight, but I've just got a feeling, having been around the game for a long, long time, I think that several months out now from the World Cup, he's just preparing the ground for that bombshell. He needs, if it's going to work, he probably needs Jude Bellingham to drop off a little bit of form if he's going to do this. But you know what? When France won the World Cup in 1998, they had Papin, they had Cantona, they had David Ginola, and only one could play in the World Cup finals. Amy Jacquet made the call that time, and it worked. France delivered the first World Cup in their history. Let's hope, if that's going to happen to Jude Bellingham, that the same happens to England on the pitch.
Should we talk about Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr.?
Yeah, are you excited about it, you two? Do you really watch it?
No, it's a bit too much of a show fight for me.
Do you think...
Really? I think it's quite a headline grabber. It's quite good.
Just because it's not a belt on the line, I don't think it means we can't enjoy boxing. I mean, if two people... If the audience want to watch or bet on 2 flies walking up a wall, then that's up to them, isn't it? I mean, it doesn't really matter. I mean, who are we to say what people should find exciting? One thing it did do... It was
entertaining last time, wasn't it?
It was, and I said on this desk that I didn't think it would be, and a lot of people were wrong. So why wouldn't they do it again? I think it's the last time we'll see them fight each other. There's talk that Chris Eubank will leave boxing after this. It'll be a good payday for him. I think his dad's going to be there as well. But look, I didn't expect last time. I mean, it was a thrilling fight last time. It dominated our output the following day on Sport, and it's about what people want to see. And that kind of brings us on to the next story as well, because Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul. Now, look, on the face of it, look at the dimensions. It's, in the specifics of the size of the fighters. I mean, you're talking about Anthony Joshua, 245 pounds against Jake Paul, 200 pounds. Now, he just lost his opponent, Gervonta Davis, because he's been suddenly a court case has emerged from nowhere. They were due to fight in Miami next month, and he's now looking for a replacement at short notice. It looks like Anthony Joshua could step in. There's a huge size difference.
I hope he does. I hope he flattens him.
Flattens Jake Paul?
Yeah.
You don't like Jake Paul?
He doesn't like YouTubers boxing.
He don't like YouTubers.
But that 150 million people watched Jake Paul last time. And again, if the audience want to see it, who are we to say they can't see it?
They can tune in and watch AJ flatten him.
It's a bit like Fred Astaire saying, I don't really like it Strictly because most of the dancers aren't professional.
I think that's a fair point.
Well, maybe when they can dance like you, yeah.
What do you think I've not been on? All right, Aidan, thank you very much indeed. We'll see you later.
Now, do stay with us. Still to come, Britain's favourite dog names have been revealed. Can you guess what they are? Stay tuned to find out. If you're barking up the right tree, yes, very good. We're going to be reviewing that and much more in the papers with Penny and Tim. That's next.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Storm Claudia will continue to affect parts of Iberia as we go through tomorrow. It's continuing to bring heavy rain, thunder, large hail across parts of the Canary Islands, Portugal and particularly western parts of Spain, but it is pushing its way further east. Meanwhile, actually across many central and eastern parts of the Mediterranean, staying largely fine, some decent sunshine on offer and temperatures about what you'd expect for the time of year. Staying pretty unsettled for many across Spain as we go into the weekend.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Sir Jacob Rees-Mogg's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday from 8 p.m.
But I saw in that incredible ancient ceremony how it and our traditions held the country together. It wasn't just the proclamation at St James's Palace, it was the wave of them that then spread around the country. It involved all of us, it reminded us who we were, and it galvanised support for the new king. And I thought, this is just incredible. And then I started to think about, actually, all of these things have been arrived at and our amazing uncodified constitution, which is written down, but in about 400 different places, it's all held together by these rituals and these ceremonies and customs. And even our law is devised that way. And actually, the conclusion I came to is that these things are really important. I think we don't really recognise, we like them, but we don't really recognise how fundamental they are to our reliability, our dependability as a nation, and our ability to cope with change. They celebrate service and duty. They celebrate sacrifice. They are based around, I would say, the values of the nation. And most of them, in fact, I think all of them, are funded not by the public sector. It's not local authority grants doing this, it's local traders. In terms of the local traditions and customs, the madder the better, as far as they're concerned. And I think this points to another element, that the absurd and our sense of humour. It's the only thing we take really seriously in this country. So I think that is fine. But I think we do adapt these traditions. They do modernise.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun. No, he didn't say that, though. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Right, let's have a look at the papers for you this morning. We start with the Telegraph. Wes Streeting has gone to war with Number 10, it says, as Downing Street attempted to kneecap him as a potential rival.
The Times report that the Prime Minister has been told to fire his top aide, Morgan McSweeney, as civil war hits Labour.
The Mirror reports that Trump spent hours with Virginia Giuffre in new Epstein emails released by Congress.
Well,
that's
joining
going to rumble on, isn't it?
It certainly is, yeah. Well, joining us now to go through all of that and much more is the journalist and broadcaster Penny Smith and the TV presenter and broadcaster Tim Vincent. Morning, you two.
Good morning.
Tim, both of you, but Tim, let's start with you. Our top story today. Ousting the Prime Minister will trigger an election. This is Starmer's allies' warning.
It's a big story, and it isn't a big story, is it? Because, you know, politicians like to be Machiavellian in all aspects of their day-to-day work. But yes, allies of Keir Starmer warned Labour plotters last night they could trigger a general election if they oust him, as rumours of a leadership challenge swirled at Westminster. We can all agree that the Prime Minister is a bit beleaguered, but he's saying that any new leader would need their own mandate. Well, he should start with his own, really. You know, I think he's probably survived so well so far by being slightly opaque about what he believes in and what he's actually standing for. But now, obviously, other people are swirling around and coming back with, you know, definitive things of what needs to be done. But I find it a little bit funny. He says, well, I'm not doing any kind of, backdoor canvassing for my own needs. But I thought every politician did that every single day. You know, it'd be surprising if they weren't.
I don't think... Has there been a Prime Minister who has had a joyful existence? Actually, Tony Blair didn't do too badly.
It's all right,
to be fair.
Few terms.
Yeah, exactly. But most of them have had, at some stage, you know, this sort of business swirling about, haven't they?
Yeah. Well, the problem with this statement is it makes him look really
weak. It does.
Because
I don't know why they put it out there, though.
No, I mean...
2 weeks before a budget.
To threaten a general election... with the implication being, of course, if there is a general election, we will lose.
It makes him look even weaker, I think, yeah.
And also the fact he hasn't been there for very long, came in on a landslide.
Not even 18 months.
No, exactly.
Yeah, and it feels like the end of a parliament.
It does. It does feel like
it really does,
Awful.
Dispiriting.
In the Mirror this morning...
in all of the papers.
Well, yes, indeed. But look at the Epstein files.
Well, they've gone big on it. I think most of them have got some kind of thing about Trump. It's either Trump or Number 10 today. But the Mirror has gone, has gone big. You read out the headline there. I mean, it is this is these files which have suddenly revealed that, according to the files, that Donald Trump spent hours with Virginia Giuffre at Jeffrey Epstein's home. This is according to an email who said that the US president knew about the girls. So this is about an email sent from Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell, who is the only person who's gone to jail. Well, I mean, apart from obviously Epstein, who's gone to jail. He said, I want you to realise that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. And then the bit that was redacted is now filled in as Miss Giuffre, as in Virginia Giuffre. Spent hours at my house with him. He was never once been mentioned. White House press chief Caroline Leavitt issued a statement last night accusing Democrats of selectively leaking correspondence to paint a malicious picture of Mr. Trump. Now, the thing is that, am I mistaken in thinking that Trump was very keen to get these files out?
He was originally.
Publicly,
and now annoyed that they're cherry-picking. I mean, nobody is going to... I mean, of course they're going to cherry-pick. They're not going to just dump a whole load of files on and then just expect people to read through and find their own.
I mean, the interesting thing with all of this, and we've seen it before, is it's all about context.
As we know, it's about context. Of course it is, but nevertheless, I mean, the context of that is the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Miss Giuffre spent hours at my house with him. He's never once been mentioned. I mean, no matter which context you put that in, that's still a statement, isn't it?
Well, it is a statement.
I think the bigger picture here is, though, this is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. There's going to be more emails released at the right time, strategically, to cause problems on both sides. And to say this is the end of the problem is like saying your ankles are wet on the Titanic. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. We were talking in the green room. I worked for NBC primarily for 15 years, nearly exclusively. The NBC chief of the news over in this country said that the last time that Trump was in, the European coverage of world events from Europe was down by 30% because they were covering domestically just Trump. And this is what's happening again. It's all about Trump. Forget anything else of what's going on in the world, and we really need to balance out. When we're talking about Trump, it's not the be-all and end-all of stuff. This is something that happened many years ago, tragically, but focus on other things.
Except he is going to sue the BBC, so he's... So, I mean, it's not as though it's suddenly going to...
He's suing everybody, isn't he?
He's suing everybody, yes. Exactly.
Litigious man. Tim, let's have a look at the Telegraph, shall we? Archbishop backs baptising migrants.
The Archbishop of Canterbury, the Right Reverend Dame Sarah Mullally, has encouraged church to baptise asylum seekers, saying that for most people, conversion to Christianity was not like clicking a switch. Well, I don't know if that makes sense. She's made the comments in the context of concerns surrounding fake conversions. Last year, the Church of England was forced to rebut claims that it operated a conveyor belt of them for asylum seekers. She does say...
There's concern, isn't there, that people have a fake conversion, a fake baptism, and then they can claim they're Christian and therefore can't go back to their home country because of persecution. Which
is absolutely happening. You've got the Afghan sex offender who carried out a chemical attack on a woman and 2 children in Clapham, South London, granted asylum on his 3rd attempt after converting to Christianity. It's a, I'm not religious at all, but she says we live in a world in which people regularly die for their Christian faith, and when many people hide it for fear of persecution, it remains just as important now to offer protection, sanctuary and peace to all. I think people would argue about the to all people. That's the issue.
Well, except if someone says... Who are they to judge if someone says, I would like to come to church and get baptised? Why would you turn them down? It shouldn't necessarily provide them with a safeguard against being deported. But it is if.
And what does conversion mean? Do you get a badge afterwards to say, look, this is now something that's legally enforced? It's a frightening time.
Yeah, it is. Can we move on to the to something a lot lighter?
Do you want Aussie Pipers by any chance?
Yes, I do, because Tim and I both love a bagpipe.
Do you?
We do, absolutely.
I'm with you on that.
See,
I'm not even Scottish. I love them.
I know, and there's something that they're incredibly mournful, and also, of course, you can just imagine in the olden days. I'm talking about sort of way back when, way before I was. I know I've been around since the 15th century, but. They can also be terribly, you can imagine, sort of the frightening sound of the going out. Anyway, the point is that hundreds of bagpipers have broken a world record after doing AC/DC's rock and roll classic "It's a Long Way to the Top." It says skirling. Is that a thing that they do? Is that what bagpipes do? It's the Great Melbourne Bagpipe Bash, and yeah.
I bet it sounded amazing.
I bet they looked amazing as well.
Amazing too. Yeah.
With their kilts.
Right, you two. We shall see you a little bit later.
We'll leave it there, shall we? Let's have a look at the weather.
Today, clouds overhead. Total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning, I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Through today there'll be a bit of a three-way split when it comes to our weather. Cold in the north with a few wintry showers, very mild with a lot of fine weather across southern parts. In between, however, it's a much wetter story. Some persistent and quite heavy rain across Northern Ireland, southern Scotland and northern England through this morning. The rain breaking up and easing a little bit as we head into the afternoon. Across Scotland, like I say, there will be some showers around, could be falling as sleet or snow, but also some sunny spells. A chilly feel here though, temperatures struggling. Meanwhile, across central and southern England, well, lots of fine sunny weather to be had and temperatures well above average for the time of year, feeling, well, relatively warm in the sunshine for some. As we go into the evening, sticking with the chilly feel across parts of Scotland, a bit of frost developing quite quickly as we go overnight, and also a few more showers, some still falling as sleet or snow. Across Northern Ireland, southern Scotland and northern England, staying pretty cloudy. There will be a few outbreaks of rain at times as well, not as heavier as they will have been during the daytime. And then further south, well, central parts of England and Wales ending the day largely fine, but rain persistent and heavy pushing into some southern counties and then feeding further northwards as we go overnight. Now, it is going to be quite heavy. We could see some rainfall totals building up for some places, but across the northern half of the UK, staying drier with some clearer skies across parts of Scotland, so temperatures dropping even further. Could get as low as -4, -5 Celsius in some places, much milder where we have the cloud and rain further south. That rain's going to continue then for many places across England and Wales as we go through tomorrow. It could be quite heavy, particularly across the hills and mountains towards the south of Wales. High rainfall totals, perhaps up to 100 millimetres, could cause some impacts, particularly around some east-facing slopes. Further north, staying bright and fine, just a few showers to watch out for. Chilly here, much milder towards the south, but unpleasant in the wind and rain.
Today, clouds overhead. Total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for sharing over 5 million comments on your say. Because when you talk, we listen.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Ongoing disruption on the M8 eastbound at Junction 4 is causing delays due to a broken down vehicle. A 7.5-tonne weight restriction begins May 27, 2025 on the M48 for heavy goods vehicles. The M1 southbound at Junction 37 in Barnsley is closed due to an accident. In Kent, an overturned vehicle on the M20 eastbound at Junction 8 has led to lane closures. On the trains, Avanti West Coast services are disrupted between Lockerbie and Oxenholme Lake District, and taxis are replacing Great Western Railway trains between Exeter St David's and Barnstaple. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
You could win your entire Christmas on us this year, all magically delivered to you in time for the big day. There's cash, £30,000 in tax-free cash to make your new year go with a bang. There's also a further £10,000 to spend on all the gifts. We've also got Christmas lunch for you, with £1,000 in vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. And finally, a festive GB News goodie bag, so there's something for everyone under the tree. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Good morning to you. Could a general election be on the horizon?
Well, allies of Sir Keir Starmer are warning Labour MPs that any move to oust the Prime Minister could backfire and trigger a national vote.
Well, it comes as tensions at the top of government show no signs of easing after a row inside Downing Street over Wes Streeting appears to have misfired, with suggestions the Prime Minister's aide, Morgan McSweeney, is to blame.
Well, here's Wes Streeting, the Health Secretary, addressing that rumour.
Most unwarranted attack on a faithful since Joe Marler was banished in the Traitors final, and I think whoever's been briefing this should spend a little less time watching Celebrity Traitors and a bit more time watching Countryfile.
So, has the Prime Minister lost control?
Elsewhere, our Home and Security editor Mark White will be joining us later on in the show with an exclusive on the small boats crisis.
Meanwhile, in America...
Is the President prepared to bankrupt the BBC?
The President has made it very clear that this is a leftist propaganda machine that is unfortunately subsidized by British taxpayers.
Bev Turner asked a question at the White House press briefing last night. Could the President actually be about to sue the BBC?
Now, according to reports, the Olympian Adam Peaty has uninvited his own mum from his wedding to Gordon Ramsay's daughter, Holly. So we're asking this morning, do weddings bring out the best in love or the worst in families?
As young people complain about struggling to access mental health services, we're going to be debating if the mental health crisis is being caused by overdiagnosis.
And later in the programme, I'm going to be talking to Blackadder star and national treasure Sir Tony Robinson, who'll be telling us why he's trying to break the stigma around prostate cancer.
Attention turns to Wembley tonight as England face Serbia, having already qualified for the World Cup. We'll hear from manager Thomas Tuchel later this hour. In boxing, we continue the countdown to Eubank Ben 2, while Anthony Joshua is reportedly in talks to fight Jake Paul in Miami next month.
It's quite a mixed bag of weather through today. In the south, lots of fine sunshine to be had, and with that feeling very mild. But all change. Tomorrow is going to bring some heavy rain and strong winds. Stick around to find out the details.
It's just gone 7 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
You know, I have got a bit of a reputation about moaning about the arts.
You're not a culture vulture.
I'm not a culture vulture, no. Which is, I mean, look, I know I shoot myself in the foot because, like everybody else, I like watching telly, I like the dramas and all that sort of thing, which is all to do with the arts industry. So, of course, we need it. Of course, it's important.
It's art, I think you have an issue with, isn't it?
Actual art. And I like actual art. I like pictures and I like sculptures and all that. I like proper art. But
the modern stuff you're not.
I mean, look, there's a guy here called David Shrigley. This is in the Mail this morning, I think. Is it Mail?
Yes, page 15.
He's a Turner Prize-nominated artist. Now, we all know the Turner Prize can be controversial. Look at Tracy Emin. Anyway...
I like Tracy Emin.
Do you? Yeah. I went to see that bed thing.
Did you?
Someone took me to see the bed thing.
And how did you find the bed thing?
I mean, it was literally a dirty bed.
Yeah.
A dirty bed. That we paid £5 to go and see. Anyway, this guy is opening an exhibition, which is, are you ready? 10 tonnes of discarded rope in a pile.
So he's literally making money on old rope.
Yes.
Money problem.
It's been exhibited at the Stephen Friedman Gallery in London, if you want to see it.
I'm all right.
And it's been valued, because if you wanted to buy the artwork...
The dirty rope.
buy 10 tonnes of dirty rope in a pile,
yeah.
£1 million.
That's bonkers.
But transportation costs would be quite expensive.
Oh, I don't care about that, Aidan.
What do you mean
should
transportation costs?
Never mind the transportation.
How many tonnes?
10.
Well, yeah, that'd be expensive.
Oh, I thought going to see it would be expensive.
But anyone could go around, if they so desired, and collect 10 tonnes of dirty old rope for free off the seaside, off beaches. And is that worth £1 million? Literally,
no.
Anybody could do it.
I will say, though, it does look quite impressive from this little picture. There's just so much of it. I mean, it's up to his eyeballs.
Enough rope.
This rope.
Yeah, but he just looks like he's stood in front of old rope. This is what annoys me.
He is. It's received mixed reviews, you may not be surprised by. Some Londoners have been uninspired by the design.
Yeah. It's like that idiot who sellotaped a banana to a piece of paper and sold it. What did that go for? £5 million or something?
I think, I'm going to say it, I think we might be in the wrong game. I think we need to find a banana and some old rope and then charge people millions of pounds to come and see it.
Talking about your attitude to the arts, though, Pep Guardiola gave a really interesting... the Manchester City coach, he gave a really interesting interview a couple of years ago about the arts, how important it was. It was the first place we went to, the streaming services, didn't we, during lockdown, and how important it was to get it through. Do you not think?
Well,
important?
yeah, but that's not quite... See, I don't think it's quite the same as the arts, really. I mean, that's like stuff that not everyone can act, not everyone can write, not everyone can direct, and...
Some people can do everything.
Not everyone can do makeup and sound and all the rest of it. But collecting a pile of old rope, any old bod could do that. Go out and do it today.
Best
Send
of
us your
luck
picture.
to him. David Shringley, if you're listening, best of luck to you.
Gets my goat.
It does get your goat, yeah.
Anyway.
Don't worry, you don't need to go.
On to more important matters. Well, I don't need to go, so Keir Starmer might have to, though. Because allies of the Prime Minister have warned Labour plotters that removing him could trigger a general election, which would, of course, if you look at the polls at the moment, be devastating for the party.
Yeah, they're polling at about, what, 18%? Well, that's as the Prime Minister is under pressure to sack his Chief of Staff, Morgan McSweeney. It's after Number 10 was accused of briefing against the Health Secretary.
Well, the Prime Minister has ordered an inquiry into the source of the accusations. Do we need an inquiry? Surely you could just ask around the office. And he's vowed to take action against anyone responsible.
Well, Wes Streeting has denied plotting a coup, describing the situation as toxic and juvenile.
Well, yesterday he was at an NHS conference in Manchester where he tried to make light of it all.
Most unwarranted attack on a faithful since Joe Marler was banished in the Traitors final, and I think whoever's been briefing this should spend a little less time watching Celebrity Traitors and a bit more time watching Countryfile.
Well, political commentator Andy Williams joins us now. Morning to you, Andy.
Good morning.
This has misfired, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Sending out one of the government's best communicators and trying to brief against him, and he just turned the whole situation on its head and actually tried to make light of the situation.
Totally. So they obviously took the opportunity. They knew that Wes Streeting was doing the broadcast round yesterday morning, and I think these plotters in Number 10 clearly wanted to put him in a difficult position for that round of interviews, but actually he's probably the best best communicator
but they
in
knew
government.
That about him.
I know.
They must have known he'd handle it.
I would have thought so. It's really, really odd. I mean, I think quite often the problem with special advisors and people working in Downing Street, they think they're in the thick of it. Right? They're kind of playing the TV show, and they're almost playing the characters. They're behaving in the way they think they should behave as advisors and kind of taking on this Machiavellian air. And it's like, no, your job is actually to support ministers and the government and the Prime Minister to deliver on his agenda. And, that's the issue they should be focusing on, because the agenda isn't being delivered and the vision isn't clear and the narrative isn't landing because people are fed up of this government already and we're not even 18 months in.
I hate to say, it's been said before, and you've got to be careful when you're criticising anyone, because who knows how we'd all do if we're in the same boat. But nevertheless, this feels like student politics.
It does.
And not the people running our country.
It's exactly the worst of politics. And one of the most compelling reasons to vote Labour at the last election was to end the very real and very damaging chaos of the Tories, just cycling through leaders and backstabbing and relitigating their disputes from 30 years ago at Oxford. And it was deeply embarrassing, and it made Britain look small, I think, on the world stage. And it's the same again.
And this is a government that promised that they would be different, that that politics would tread gentler on our lives.
Promised that, yeah, exactly. Promised that we would, there'd be no tax rises.
Grow the economy.
For the duration of the Parliament. I mean, that is a more challenging one, and I think we have to...
Yeah, but their entire economic strategy was based on growing the economy. It's not just that they'd like to do it, it's the entire strategy.
No, totally. And they had an ambition, which was growth, but they didn't have a strategy to deliver it. And then they raised taxes on business at the last budget, which we've all seen has been a disaster, right? So,
well, maybe they're breathing a sigh of relief this morning, Andy, though not much of one, because we've just heard from the Office for National Statistics that the UK economy has grown from July to September by
0.1%.
Yeah, so it's the last figures before the budget. I mean, it's nothing. I mean,
it's the same story the last 15 years. Nothing has changed in 15 years. The economy's been flatlining, and if I'm being generous and fair, actually, one of the really good things this government is doing is investing in infrastructure for the long term, and that will pay off. But it's not going to pay off today. It's not going to pay off tomorrow.
In this term, even.
In this term. And it's not going to make anybody feel better off. It's not going to address the cost of living issues that people are facing. So it's all well and good to say, well, in 2035, you'll see some benefit from new trains being built and roads and the NHS being invested in. But right now, people aren't feeling it. And that is the big problem, especially with tax rises coming in 2 weeks' time.
What about this idea that the Prime Minister's looking very weak? Or at least, because of his allies have spoken, well, we all know what that means. But to say, if there's a leadership challenge, we will have to have another general election. Well, I mean, the implication from that is, obviously, we can't win a general election at the moment.
Yes, and...
So, I mean, that's not a good look, is it? Why have they not just kept their mouths shut?
Look, you never know in British politics, but I think it's highly unlikely that there's going to be a general election anytime soon. The only world in which that's going to happen is if there's an enormous economic crash and Starmer and Reeves are deposed and it causes some kind of crisis. But, as you said, Stephen, it's not remotely in Labour's interests to go anywhere near the electorate right now. I mean, they need to stay well clear. Actually,
and they don't historically replace their leaders, do they?
They don't. And actually, the mechanism in the Labour Party is different to in the Conservative Party. You need 20% of MPs to formally back a named challenger. So actually, you need 80 people to come out and say, we're backing, for example, Wes Streeting. It's a high bar. So I really do not... I think... If I was Keir Starmer, I'd have stood up at party conference a month ago and said, there doesn't have to be a general election for 3.5 years, and for the next 3 years, we're not going to talk about Nigel Farage, we're not going to address reform, they can crack on and give their press conferences and make their ridiculous promises that don't stack up, and we're going to crack on with delivering, and if you don't like it, then vote us out in 3 years. But instead, these advisors in Number 10 seem obsessed with the fact they might be, hoofed out of office tomorrow.
OK. Andy Williams, thank you very much. Good to see you this morning.
Now, GB News has been getting stuck in at the White House in those very famous White House press briefings.
Yes, Bev Turner asked a question yesterday of the President's press secretary, Caroline Levitt, about Donald Trump suing the BBC over a doctored speech. Let's have a listen.
Does this strain the relationship between the President and the Prime Minister? And given that the organisation is publicly funded, is the President prepared to bankrupt the BBC?
He has always been very frank when he disagrees with leaders, even whom he has a good relationship with. And the BBC, being a fair news organization, is definitely an outlet. I think these two leaders would disagree. The President has made it very clear that this is a leftist propaganda machine that is unfortunately subsidized by British taxpayers, and he thinks that's extremely unfortunate for the great people of the United Kingdom and Great Britain. As you know, the President's external legal counsel has filed a lawsuit against the BBC. We expect that to continue, and whether they apologize or not is up to them.
Well, President Trump has given the BBC until tomorrow evening to respond to his legal claim, where he's threatened to sue the broadcaster potentially for $1 billion.
Well, let's speak now to media lawyer Jonathan Toad, who joins us now. Good to see you this morning, or Jonathan Code, I should say. So sorry, Jonathan.
Okay.
How likely do you think it is that President Trump is going to sue the BBC?
Well, the latest news, I don't know whether you've picked it up, but the Times is reporting that the BBC is going to formally issue an apology to Donald Trump. Well, what that tells me is that they take the threat seriously, because they've studiously tried to avoid apologising to Donald Trump, which should have been done in May when the doctored edit emerged. Should have been done when the Telegraph reported the doctored edit. But if it's right, and I've been saying it's inevitable that the BBC will settle, that they will apologise, then that will be clear that the BBC is convinced that the alternative is having a fight in a Florida court, which is Donald Trump's home county, with Donald Trump, which I think they're likely to regret.
It's interesting. I mean, talking to another media lawyer yesterday, I mean, what he was saying is, ultimately, as we know, any sort of claim has to be about something which is said, whether it's, even if it is false, has it diminished, the view of the ordinary person, of the person in question? Has Donald Trump been defamed by what has been said? And he was saying that's going to be a tough one to argue.
Well, I think I know who said that.
Yeah, well,
good friend. I don't think that's going to be a problem. I mean, let's go back to what the allegation is. Through the doctored edit, the allegation is that Donald Trump used the opportunity on the day where there were Capitol riots, which, remember, caused the loss of 5 people. 5 people were killed. So the allegation is that he essentially sent a mob to Capitol Hill saying, fight, 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 which is clearly a suggestion that they go and use physical violence, which led to the death of 5 people. Now, if that isn't enough to use the English expression, lower you in the estimation of right-thinking people generally, then I don't know what is. But also, remember, this is going to be on Donald Trump's home ground. His home state is Florida. It's going to be a Florida jury that hears it. Florida is a staunch Republican state. Now, I put you in the situation of a Florida jurist. On one side, you've got Donald Trump, who you voted for, you're a fan of, who pours lots of money into the state, who owns property in the state. On the other side, you have the BBC, who they don't know very much about. Now, which way is this likely to go?
Well, which way is it likely to go in Florida, bearing in mind that I believe BBC America is behind a paywall, so I don't know how many people would have actually seen this Panorama documentary. And is it part of the law in defamation in the US that you have to prove malice? And I guess it would be quite difficult to prove the intention of the BBC producer who doctored that clip.
Well, you're right. I mean, it has been reported, and wrongly, that BBC One is not available in America. Well, it is. It is. You're quite right. It has to be via subscription services. DirecTV and Hulu carry it. But I imagine that there will be sufficient publication in America to get the claim off the ground. But you're also right that the US law of defamation is different from ours, and you have to prove what the Americans call actual malice. Again, I don't think that's a problem. I mean, first of all, the BBC has been accused by its own advisors, effectively, of this, of doctoring the footage in question. They took 2 speeches, 54 minutes apart, and they spliced them together deliberately to put words in the mouth which the president did not say. Now, whatever you think about him, that was wrong. And speaking as a media lawyer who's acted for broadcasters for 30 plus years, someone comes to me and says, Jonathan, do you think that's going to be a basis for an allegation of actual malice? I say, absolutely, it is. Don't even think about arguing that. You're going to go down on that.
Is it the case, I mean, again, because it's American law, it's slightly different. I mean, over here, you can libel someone or defame someone, even if only one person sees the output or reads the article. It doesn't have to have widespread coverage. Is that different in the States?
Forgive me, I'm going to correct you, and I hope that isn't rude.
No, please do. You're the expert, Jonathan.
OK. Well, I'm also your guest, and I don't want to be discourteous, but actually that's not right. Section 1.1 of the 2013 Defamation Act states that to get a successful claim off the ground in the UK, your reputation must have suffered serious harm. And for what that, and we've now got 11 years of case law, and what that means is that, first of all, the allegation is serious, which in my view, obviously it is. But secondly, there's been sufficient dissemination of the allegation to cause serious harm to your reputation. So if it's just disseminated one person, you're not going to get over the serious harm threshold. Now, America doesn't have the serious harm threshold. And as far as I know, and I'm reasonably familiar with the law of defamation in the US because I worked on a case recently, which was a defamation claim which was being conducted in the US. So I'm fairly up with the US law. There is no serious harm threshold in America, and so I don't think that's going to be a problem.
OK. Jonathan Code, thank you. And let me just say, if I get something wrong, I'm more than happy to be corrected, so do not worry about that for a second. It's why we like to talk to experts. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's part of the joy. I know people go say whatever, but it is part of the joy, actually, of being able to say, oh, I've misunderstood that, I've not got that right.
And to hear from an expert. It's fascinating, though, isn't it? Because we heard from a media lawyer yesterday who's saying, oh, I don't know if Donald Trump's got much of a case. Just hearing the opposite there from Jonathan Code, saying...
You know, that's law for you.
That's law for you.
It is all open to interpretation. And then it's how you convince a jury.
We'll have to wait and see. Time is ticking, so the BBC have got until 10 p.m. our time on Friday evening to respond to that. We'll bring it all to you on GB News.
We will. Right, let's have a look at the weather with Alex.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning, I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Through today there'll be a bit of a three-way split when it comes to our weather. Cold in the north with a few wintry showers, very mild with a lot of fine weather across southern parts. In between, however, it's a much wetter story. Some persistent and quite heavy rain across Northern Ireland, southern Scotland and northern England through this morning. The rain breaking up and easing a little bit as we head into the afternoon. Across Scotland, like I say, there will be some showers around, could be falling as sleet or snow, but also some sunny spells. A chilly feel here though, temperatures struggling. Meanwhile, across central and southern England, well, lots of fine sunny weather to be had and temperatures well above average for the time of year, feeling, well, relatively warm in the sunshine for some. As we go into the evening, sticking with the chilly feel across parts of Scotland, a bit of frost developing quite quickly as we go overnight, and also a few more showers, some still falling as sleet or snow. Across Northern Ireland, southern Scotland and northern England, staying pretty cloudy. There will be a few outbreaks of rain at times as well, not as heavier as they will have been during the daytime. And then further south, well, central parts of England and Wales ending the day largely fine, but rain persistent and heavy pushing into some southern counties and then feeding further northwards as we go overnight. Now, it is going to be quite heavy. We could see some rainfall totals building up for some places, but across the northern half of the UK, staying drier with some clearer skies across parts of Scotland, so temperatures dropping even further. Could get as low as -4, -5 Celsius in some places, much milder where we have the cloud and rain further south. That rain's going to continue then for many places across England and Wales as we go through tomorrow. It could be quite heavy, particularly across the hills and mountains towards the south of Wales. High rainfall totals, perhaps up to 100 millimetres, could cause some impacts, particularly around some east-facing slopes. Further north, staying bright and fine, just a few showers to watch out for. Chilly here, much milder towards the south, but unpleasant in the wind and rain.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Now, are you feeling festive?
Not yet.
No, neither am I. It's too early. Christmas starts on the 28th of November. For me. What about you?
Why the 28th?
I don't really know. I just think it's the end of the November. I start to get myself set up and ready then.
We get the tree at the last weekend in November.
Yeah, I think it's a really good time to start. But anyway, if you are feeling festive, now this will definitely get you in the mood. £40,000 in cash, tax-free, to spend on Christmas, £1,000 to spend on Christmas lunch from your favourite supermarket, and a GB News festive goodie bag. Which I think is the best bit.
You do not. Don't tell lies. You just be honest with our viewers and listeners.
You can have it all in time for the big day. Here are all of the details that you need.
You could win your entire Christmas on us this year, all magically delivered to you in time for the big day. There's cash, £30,000 in tax-free cash to make your new year go with a bang. There's also a further £10,000 to spend on all the gifts, the tree, the trimmings, everything you might need for a fantastic festive day. We've also got Christmas lunch for you, with £1,000 in vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. And finally, a festive GB News goodie bag, so there's something for everyone under the tree. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry starts at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 8th of December. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
We're now looking at
I'm looking at the GB News shop, and you cannot get all of the stuff in that goodie bag on the GB News shop.
I told you, people would love this GB News goodie bag. I'm always asked how they can get bits and bobs. So now you know. That looks quite nice.
There's a Union flag blanket
made of wool.
Online, made of 100% wool.
Which is very good quality. Lamb's wool, very nice. Made in England as well, very good.
That's not in the goodie bag, though, sadly. Maybe we'll force them to pop that in.
You can get the baubles. Do you remember when we sold out on the baubles last year?
Yes. The baubles are in the goodie bag, not on the shop at the moment. So there you go.
There you go. You've got to be in it to win it. So there you go. That's all the details that you need.
Right, still to come. Thousands of young people apparently are still struggling to access mental health services. We're going to be debating if the mental health crisis is being caused by, well, underfunding, an increase in cases, or overdiagnosis. That's next.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline.
Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What we're going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No, because you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Just had a text from my brother-in-law, actually, who's watching. Good morning, Stephen.
Good morning, Stephen.
Is it
called Stephen as well?
Yeah. Because they put their tree up on the 1st of November.
I fear that's too early, Stephen.
On which it has, let me tell you this, ladies and gents, 8,000 lights. It's a fire hazard.
And that, I'm a bit concerned.
8,000
So, wait, how long does it stay up till?
Oh, well, knowing those, probably about the 40th of April. 40th.
Do you get sick of the tree? I find it a bit big. It kind of takes over the house.
I found it quite reassuring when you actually...
Hair on your face.
Oh, sorry, darling. Okay. When you whip it down on, like, the day after Boxing Day.
Oh, I whip it down. That's the other thing. It's over.
And it's quite refreshing, ready for New Year, I think.
Yeah, New Year, new start, all of that. I actually struggle. I know you're meant to keep it up till...
12th night.
The 12th night, which is the Epiphany, isn't it? The 6th of Jan. I really struggle to do that. Like it down the 2nd, really.
Yeah. But you really you're not meant to put them up to, like, Christmas Eve, are you, really? As far as that goes for 12th night.
You need to enjoy it a bit more than that. Anyway, get in touch, gbnews.com/your say. When do you put up your Christmas tree?
Yes. Now, at 7:30, children and young people with mental health difficulties are apparently lacking access to care.
Well, it comes as a new study reveals that 67% of young people have had at least one emotional disorder, such as depression or anxiety, but only 12% of them were ever diagnosed.
Now, those referred to mental health services, only 43% of those referrals were successful.
Well, this begs a question. Are young people facing an unprecedented mental health crisis? Are they struggling to get access to these services? Or do we simply have a generation that can't cope?
All right, let's talk to political commentator Peter Barnes and political commentator from Young Voices UK, Noah Kigali. Good to see you both this morning. Peter, what do you think? Is this a crisis or is this people just not coping?
Oh, it's definitely a crisis because the main problem is that these people aren't going into the workforce. You know, we're seeing such a contraction of productivity already with so many people going through these mental health issues. You know, they're not joining the workforce. Some even in their lifetime. There's a case of a 21-year-old who was signed off for life from having to work over a telephone call. So there is a real line to tread here when we talk about this stuff because there are genuine cases and we have to stress that. But we seem to have developed a culture in which all risk has been removed. So I don't blame young people for being in the situation that they find themselves in. I blame the parents for this. You know, when you take out risk, you take out the chance to gain resilience. So when you have things like non-competitive sports days, when everybody gets a participation trophy, you know, these kind of everybody gets a turn, you know, it's not the real world, is it? So when you actually enter the workforce, when you have to start competing, people haven't been prepared for that at any stage in their life, not just at schools and education, because that's the quick and easy thing to blame. Oh, it's just all these teachers and, you know, spoon feeding. There is so much more at play here. And I do think that young people get a lot of the blame for a lot of the problems in the country. And I think that's wildly unfair. You know, they don't, yes, they definitely need to kick up the proverbial, some of them for sure. But I do think that we kind of box them off as all lazy and a bit snowflakey and all this kind of stuff, when in reality they have to deal with some very difficult issues that I know my generation didn't really deal with, and many people's generations certainly didn't deal with. So, you know, we kind of left them without any kind of armour in a very dangerous world, I'm afraid.
Noah, what do you make of it?
We need to be really honest about what the statistics say here, I think. And the statistics make it very clear that, since 2017, there's been a 60% rise in the NHS saying that young people have probable mental health disorders, and there has also been a rise in suicide numbers. Those are very real statistics, and that's not a matter of people being snowflakey or whatever. Those are very real people that are facing very real problems. Now, as to why those problems are there, that's much more complicated. I imagine part of that is probably the pressure of social media in an increasingly connected world, and part of it is possibly the legacy of COVID. But these are very real issues, and we need to be honest and encourage people to speak about them, or else those suicide statistics will just get worse and worse, especially among men.
But Peter has got a good point, hasn't he? Because some of these very real conditions you talk about are things like anxiety and depression and feeling down, low mood issues, which are, it's not to say they're not real, but are young people suffering from them more because they've not had a level of resilience and real-world life built into their experience so far?
Anxiety and depression are fundamentally real medical issues, though.
Yeah, no one's
That's
disputing that.
No, but some people are, and I think there's a difference, where people assume that all mental, disorders and mental health challenges are entirely self-diagnosed, and that's not necessarily the case. And I think especially when we have this conversation, the impact on young men who then don't speak out, and then suicide is the leading cause of death amongst young men, for example. That is an absolutely abhorrent statistic, and something that we all as a society need to tackle. And we need to be, we need to not decide that the only way to deal with this is to not send them into the workforce and not try and grow and work on those issues. That's not helpful either, and that tends to lead to a spiral, and that's not something that anyone wants. But what we do need to do is work together as a society to make sure that we can, provide the support that young people need to ensure that they then can go into the workforce, can be, healthy, contributing members of society. That's the end goal that we should be working towards, not trying to say that it's not an issue at all.
Peter, last word to you.
Yeah, I happen to completely agree, but I think one of the main things we actually have to do is provide a society in which people want to prosper in. And actually, we have a society that allows people to prosper. One of the main factors I think that is a huge driver in this is the unemployment rate that is absolutely out of control amongst the young generation. But that's mainly driven by the fact that they've been underprepared by the education system. They've kind of grown up in an economy that has basically been anemic at best, and yet the jobs that would be naturally there for young people, generally hospitality and retail, are disappearing quicker than you can say the words because of the decisions made by successive governments, and what we're going to see later on this month with Rachel Reeves and further decimation of the economy. We have to get a grip of that, because if you want to tackle all the kind of men's mental health issues, you want to tackle radicalization, all this stuff, it is the economy, because it's the economy that gives people drive, it gives people focus, and it gives people a sense of belonging because they're not panicking. And that's that kind of sense of economic instability is a main driver, and we've got to stamp that out.
OK, Peter and Noah, good to talk to you both this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Let us know what you think on that one. As always, gbnews.com/you'll say.
Still to come, Aidan's got the latest sports news. Could Thomas Tuchel be rotating his squad? We'll get the details in a moment.
Thank you so much for helping us to reach 8 million followers and subscribers across our social media channels. That's 8 million fearless Brits standing up for what really matters.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Exercise caution on the A82 in Milton due to flooded carriageways. In Wales, congestion is evident on the M4 between junction 26 Malpers and junction 23 A Mega. The M1 southbound entry slip at junction 37 in Barnsley is closed following a vehicle incident. The M20 eastbound entry slip at junction 8 in Kent is shut for accident investigations. And on the trains, Avanti West Coast services face disruptions between Lockerbie and Oxenholme Lake District, while Great Western Railway provides taxis between Exeter St David's and Barnstaple. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah,
as I say, now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, it's sports time, and Aidan wants to tell us about magic shoes.
I do want to tell you about magic shoes. You know, what happens when England have already qualified for a World Cup and you've got a dead rubber tonight against Serbia at Wembley this evening at 7:45? Sometimes it turns into like a mini silly season because there's not much news around and you look at England and you think, what can I get out of it? And John Cross has certainly done that on the back of the Mirror because he's done a piece on the magic shoes that the England players have been issued with. Now, we can see for the benefit of our radio listeners, we can see the picture on the screen of the back page of the Daily Mirror. Now, they look like Crocs to me, if you can just see on the table.
Yeah, they're big plastic lumps.
Can you see those?
Is he meant to play in them?
No, not going to play in them. They're wearing them around the camp.
I bet they're comfy, though, won't
they are, but it says England's players have all been given special footwear which are supposed to send positive messages from the feet to the brain and are billed as a mind-altering shoe.
Oh, give over.
The squad have all started wearing them around the England training base ahead of their final 2 World Cup qualifying fixtures against Serbia and Albania. It sounds like a gimmick to me because Thomas Tuchel, the manager, goes on to say that he doesn't really understand the science behind it.
Yeah.
Science?
Is there any science behind it?
Well, I can't just...
Sending positive messages from your feet to your brain.
Are you not... You say you never had this?
Play harder. No,
we're not sold on this. They do look comfy, though.
They do.
If they're comfy, great.
Well, that's all you need.
I know. Well, look, he's got more pressing matters in terms of the personnel in his side because I think he's preparing to drop Jude Bellingham from his starting lineup next time. But nonetheless, it's a dead rubber tonight. There's not much riding on it. They've got a game later in the week as well. But we'll be hoping England will do well, and we'll be covering it tomorrow morning, I'm sure.
Yep.
Oh, that we will. That we will. Lovely, Aidan. Thanks very much
Aidan.
indeed.
Now, do stay with us. We'll be going through the papers with Penny and Tim. But first, if you're in search of some holiday sun, here's the forecast across Europe.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Storm Claudia will continue to affect parts of Iberia as we go through tomorrow. It's continuing to bring heavy rain, thunder, large hail across parts of the Canary Islands, Portugal and particularly western parts of Spain, but it is pushing its way further east. Meanwhile, actually across many central and eastern parts of the Mediterranean, staying largely fine, some decent sunshine on offer and temperatures about what you'd expect for the time of year. Staying pretty unsettled for many across Spain as we go into the weekend.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Last time I was here was with Buddy, my golden retriever, who joined me for the first 2,000 kilometre of my 13,000 kilometre triathlon from England to Everest. But this time we got back and we've just got a rescue dog, but Teddy, who's inspired our next adventure, our next charity expedition in aid of rescue dogs. So, yeah.
I'm going to slow you down a tiny bit there.
Absolutely, that's
You
fine.
said fairly quickly 13,000 kilometres.
Yeah.
So, tell me about the stages of that.
So, yeah, so it was 6 months tomorrow, 6 months ago to the day, was on summit of Everest and completed the longest climb of Mount Everest in history. So it was 13,157 kilometres, which started with a swim across the English Channel and then a 12,000 kilometre bike ride across 18 countries to sea level in India, and then a 1,300 kilometre run and hike and climb from sea level to the top of Mount Everest. So it was the first triathlon to the top of the world and also the longest climb of Everest in history, which was for a great veterans charity called SABSIM, which makes mental health courses using wildlife and nature. And I studied zoology, massive animal lover myself, and now I've been back 6 months and we've just come across and rescued Teddy. It inspired our next little venture.
I mean, the trip you undertook, the 13,000 kilometres, medical experts said it was impossible.
Well, a lot of people said to me, a lot of experts said they're not sure if it's possible. You know, the question was that, you know, after nearly an 8,000-mile triathlon, would the human body then be capable of then climbing Everest? I lost 18 kilos, nearly died many times. The hardest day was on day one, actually, 18 and a half hours across the channel. That was just day one of 237. But we made it in the end. It was for a great cause, and we kind of defied possible to show the most important message of my entire kind of expedition, that the only person that knows what's possible is looking in the mirror.
GB News, the People's Channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Yeah, well, it's got us talking already. Penny Smith and Tim Vincent. We're talking about coppers costing $6,000 in the sun this morning, Tim.
Yeah, are you, first of all, are you coffee or tea?
Both.
Both.
OK.
Both, yeah.
If you're having tea, is it herbal tea or is it
No,
normal
tea.
tea? I say normal tea.
Real tea.
Real tea. And is it milk or no milk?
Obviously milk.
Obviously milk. Final question before I read the piece. Milk in first or last?
Second.
Yeah, second.
Afterwards, if you've got a bag, but obviously if you're brewing it yourself, then you want to actually just check that it's brewed
See, I'm from
properly
Wrexham. We just put the milk in, tea bag in the mug.
What?
pour it in, and that's it. What's wrong with that?
And at this point, we stop talking.
It doesn't brew properly.
No. Well, look, why doesn't it brew properly?
Because it stops the brewing.
You know exactly the right colour to bring it out, and you put it's a builder's tea.
What Dad says.
Well, anyway, the average tea drinker has 62,000 cuppers in a lifetime, costing £6,222. I'd argue that isn't correct.
No,
because it's £4 for just a cappuccino, isn't it? Certainly in London now, at least
London,
£4. Most of the money is spent on milk, averaging 6 pence a cup. Again, tea bags cost around 4 pence each, and electricity to boil the kettle comes to 2 pence per day. And one of the top tips is only put the amount of hot water that you need to boil in, because that saves you money on your electricity.
62,000 cups in a lifetime. They've not met my mother.
Well, she's 162.
Honestly, it's every opportunity.
Is it? I think that's nice.
Exactly.
If I'm left to my own devices, I'd have a good 3 cups a day.
Yeah.
Of tea
Per hour?
In the morning, I'd have maybe 5 cups of coffee.
Do you get jittery?
Yes.
Do you? See, I know. I'm at the point. No, never. I can see. I'm trying to do my 1 meal a day OMAD.
Yeah.
So I have coffees all the time, you know, and I don't get jittery. I don't think.
It's very
Look
good.
at you not getting.
Yeah. But what about tea? Because on about tea bags.
Oh, you see, I do. So I do tea bags just for ease, but then when I've got time to enjoy it, I do a proper tea, either a teapot, loose tea, and I've got a variety of tea balls and things that hang over the side of the cup.
Fancy, Penny.
Oh, it's so nice though. It's lovely, and it makes me feel all kind of posh.
That's a real procedure. See, a bloke, you just want a cup of tea and get out of there.
You do, but it is not. I have to say, loose tea is nicer.
Well, I know what you get for you for Christmas.
Oh, talking of Christmas, can I move on to Peppa Pig and Lego, vying for the top Christmas toy? This is in quite a few of the papers. Peppa Pig, Wicked dolls.
Oh, yeah, that's the film of the month, isn't it?
It's Wicked. Oh, is that a new film?
It's coming out the 21st November, apparently.
I thought they'd already came out.
It's the number 2.
Oh, for God's sake. Really? They've been put into 2 films. What is going on with people? Formula 1 Lego and Hot Wheels racing cars. These are the...
Hot Wheels, are they still going?
Oh, yeah.
I used to love a Hot Wheels.
I don't actually know what that is.
They're only little things.
You know,
dinky cars.
Oh, just dinky cars?
Yeah.
Oh, and that's it, and they just whiz all over the place?
Yes.
Yeah, OK.
Go on
So you've got
feet.
Snuggles Eevee doll, Jurassic World Primal Hatch T-Rex.
Do you know what? It's actually really good to see traditional toys on this list rather than...
It's a little bit... As a father of 7-year-old twin boys that want...
to work at Christmas.
But well, now you see all the adverts come out and they go, Daddy, can I have this? And I go, you can, but you've already got a version. Toys are just like magic tricks. There's only about 5 or 6 different versions of toys, and you just reinvent the name, the sponsorship. So it's Dinkies or Legos.
What are they
so
into?
Mischief.
Mischief.
Pretty much. They're not into Lego, they're not into computer games as of yet, and that would be much kind of. But last year I decided, because the amount of plastic that's used, to give them experiences. So we'll go off and do something special.
That's nice, though.
Yeah, equally
Just
expensive.
them off on their own, just so
I say, yeah, if you can find your way back to the house, then you can have dinner tonight. No,
what about swords and things? Are they? Because that was all.
Is that a thing anymore?
When we were kids, it was swords and army and guns.
Yeah, absolutely, still, and it's still massively... The problem is now with Amazon, you just have a little look, click it, and it arrives the next day, and you think, why have I got a shield and, you know, something that arriving? Yeah, Lego's still very popular as well. Yeah. But, yeah, you have your tea bags and your coffee. I have to get lots of little toys. But there's nothing that they don't have by the time they're 7.
Yeah. And actually, do you know what? You could... I know, my goodness, I'm just going to put that voice on. You know, sometimes it's just as well to just play with the big box in it.
Well, it's true, though.
But it is
That's
true.
often what they like
Fire
best,
imagination, yeah.
You have to buy a present that the adults are happy with, so we're having karaoke this year. Hopefully Jasper and Felix aren't watching GB News at the moment, but yeah, we're going to have, I'll be singing like a virgin on Christmas Day.
Have I got time to talk about shouting at seagulls?
Oh, yes. Now, you're not going to be anti-seagull, are you? 'Cause I'm very upset about anti-seagull.
I'll be anti-seagull.
Well, we're not anti-seagulls. In fact, of course, the seagull is not actually a correct name, of course. It's
it's not a gull, is it?
But no, I'm not anti-gulls. The point is that they're just doing what comes naturally.
They have got too
doing.
big for their boots, though, Penny, you've got to admit.
They are, and also, it's the way that they hang over, isn't it? I mean, it's
They're very threatening.
We're talking of experiences.
Anyway, sorry, just saying that shouting at seagulls makes them more likely to leave your food alone. I just like the idea of just stay away, that's my food. I just want
There
to do
is
it
a
anyway.
cafe/restaurant in Wales that will give you a super soaker, which is a big water pistol, when you get your fish and chips. And part of the experience is to sit outside and fire the water at the pigeons or whatever seagulls that are coming down to protect your food.
You do know
and that's
gulls
the experience.
like water.
Well, they don't like it straight in the nozzle as they're coming in for your chips.
Oh, no.
My goodness, you're very accurate with your water pistol.
I haven't done it. I don't necessarily agree with it.
There we are, one in the beak for you,
That's the children's Christmas present this year.
Yeah, I think that would be quite an interesting experience for them. Tim, can we have a look at, just in a minute, Chris Martin and Dua Lipa?
I think we've all become aware of... I don't go out anymore or pay to go to the concerts, but what should be 50, 80, 90 pounds for a ticket are being bought by the computer bots and then resold for thousands of pounds. And quite rightly, Coldplay and Radiohead and various other artists are saying that the government should wade in here and stop that from happening so that the likes of you and I can go and see Cliff Richard for £50 per ticket rather than £3,000 a ticket, which I agree with.
The base tickets also need to be looked at before they even get onto those sites. I mean, £150, £200 to see one artist is crazy.
Exactly, the tickets are already expensive.
I thought you were being sarcastic about Cliff, because I've seen him in concert 3 times.
I think I've seen you there.
Yeah.
I also feel like we all really overlooked my joke about bird's eye when we were talking about shooting the seagulls with a water pistol.
Oh, I think we did actually. No, it just slipped in there.
I did.
I think now that we can all admire it.
Bring it back to that, anyway.
Right, you two, thank you.
It's weather.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Box Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning, I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Through today there'll be a bit of a three-way split when it comes to our weather. Cold in the north with a few wintry showers, very mild with a lot of fine weather across southern parts. In between, however, it's a much wetter story. Some persistent and quite heavy rain across Northern Ireland, southern Scotland and northern England through this morning. The rain breaking up and easing a little bit as we head into the afternoon. Across Scotland, like I said, there will be some showers around, could be falling as sleet or snow, but also some sunny spells. A chilly feel here though, temperatures struggling. Meanwhile, across central and southern England, well, lots of fine sunny weather to be had and temperatures well above average for the time of year, feeling, well, relatively warm in the sunshine for some. As we go into the evening, sticking with the chilly feel across parts of Scotland, a bit of frost developing quite quickly as we go overnight, and also a few more showers, some still falling as sleet or snow. Across Northern Ireland, southern Scotland and northern England, staying pretty cloudy. There will be a few outbreaks of rain at times as well, not as heavier as they will have been during the daytime. And then further south, well, central parts of England and Wales ending the day largely fine, but rain persistent and heavy pushing into some southern counties and then feeding further northwards as we go overnight. Now, it is going to be quite heavy. We could see some rainfall totals building up for some places, but across the northern half of the UK, staying drier with some clearer skies across parts of Scotland, so temperatures dropping even further. Could get as low as -4, -5 Celsius in some places, much milder where we have the cloud and rain further south. That rain's going to continue then for many places across England and Wales as we go through tomorrow. It could be quite heavy, particularly across the hills and mountains towards the south of Wales. High rainfall totals, perhaps up to 100 millimetres, could cause some impacts, particularly around some east-facing slopes. Further north, staying bright and fine, just a few showers to watch out for. Chilly here, much milder towards the south, but unpleasant in the wind and rain.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Box Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for making us the fastest growing news website in the UK. We're truly humbled, and we couldn't have done it without you.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the M8 eastbound at junction 28, an incident causes delays, so exercise caution. On the M4 eastbound, expect congestion between junction 26 Malpas and junction 23A Mega. The M5 northbound exit slip at junction 28 in Devon is closed due to a vehicle fire, with resolution expected by 9:35 this morning. Accident investigations have closed the M20 eastbound entry slip at junction 8 in Kent, and on the trains, Avanti West Coast services are disrupted between Lockerbie and Oxenholme Lake District. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
We could be delivering the perfect Christmas to you this year. There's £30,000 in tax-free cash to make 2026 the best year yet. A further £10,000 cash to spend on gifts for all the family. There's £1,000 to spend in your favourite supermarket. And a festively themed GB News goodie bag, and we'll get it all to you in time for the big day. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
A really important thing about GB News, and it's brought something completely different to the landscape.
The mainstream is all about keeping the status quo as it is, ticking along quite nicely. They don't want to ask difficult questions.
GB News exists because there is a desperate need for fearless journalism that puts the people first.
GB News came on the scene as a disruptor, and it has always been a disruptor ever since.
Journalism in this country has been a cosy world full of groupthink until now.
Well, the reality is that most British journalists are afraid. That's not GB News.
Journalism is journalism at the end of the day, and we're not here to serve any masters. Our masters are our audience.
We're here to talk about things in a way that have never been broadcast on British airways before.
Do not miss a moment on GB News.
The #1 news channel in the country. Good morning. Could a general election be on the horizon?
Well, allies of Sir Keir Starmer are warning Labour MPs that any move to oust the Prime Minister could backfire and trigger a national vote.
Well, it comes as tensions at the top of government show no signs of easing after a row inside Downing Street over West Streeting appeared to have misfired. Suggestions the PM's chief aide, Morgan McSweeney, is to blame.
Well, here's the Health Secretary addressing that rumour.
Most unwarranted attack on a faithful since Joe Marler was banished in the Traitors final, and I think whoever's been briefing this should spend a little less time watching Celebrity Traitors and a bit more time watching Countryfile.
So, here's a question for our political correspondent, Catherine Forster. Has the PM lost control?
Well, the Prime Minister is certainly in trouble. We thought that people might come for him potentially after the budget or after the May elections, but they don't actually have an easy way of getting rid of him. Meanwhile, most people would simply like a government that delivered.
Well, there's some good news for the government. The UK economy grew by 0.1% between July and September. That's ahead of the much-anticipated budget in just under 2 weeks' time.
Our Home and Security editor, Mark White, will be joining us later with an exclusive on the small boats crisis.
Meanwhile, in America...
Is the President prepared to bankrupt the BBC?
The President has made it very clear that this is a leftist propaganda machine that is unfortunately subsidized by British taxpayers.
Bev Turner asked a question at the White House press briefing about the BBC and the President. Is he really going to sue?
Making a splash for all the wrong reasons. According to reports, the Olympian Adam Peaty has uninvited his own mother from his wedding to Gordon Ramsay's daughter Holly. So we're going to be asking in about 20 minutes' time, do weddings bring out the best in love or the worst in families?
And later we'll be joined by Blackadder star and national treasure Sir Tony Robinson. he's doing a really important job this morning. He's trying to raise awareness around prostate cancer.
Attention turns to Wembley tonight as England face Serbia, having already qualified for the World Cup. We'll hear from manager Thomas Tuchel later this hour. In boxing, we continue the countdown to Eubank Ben 2, while Anthony Joshua is reportedly in talks to fight Jake Paul in Miami next month.
It's quite a mixed bag of weather through today. In the south, lots of fine sunshine to be had, and with that feeling very mild. But all change. Tomorrow is going to bring some heavy rain and strong winds. Stick around to find out the details.
It's just gone 8 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Oh, we're kicking straight off with politics then this hour, because the Shadow Chancellor, Sir Mel Stride, is standing by to talk to us. Good morning to you. What do you make, Mel, of these? I mean, look, positive figures we're saying for the government, in that we are, the latest growth figures are out, and they have, we are seeing some growth. I mean, it's next to nothing, but it's better than the other way, I guess.
Well, Stephen, good morning. No, I don't see them as positive at all, and I don't think most commentators would do. I mean, 0.1% growth over the last quarter is considerably less than the 0.3% in the quarter before. So what we're seeing is an economy that is slowing down overall, not growing. And in fact, in September, the last month of that quarter, the economy actually contracted. So we actually went backwards. And I think these are further worrying signs that the policies that this government is pursuing, particularly high taxes on businesses, borrowing lots of money, spending lots of money, stoking inflation. We have the highest inflation according to the IMF this year in the G7, and we'll have the highest inflation next year too. That's keeping interest rates higher for longer. Servicing our national debt that this government's adding to is costing now about 100 billion a year, twice what we spend on defence. And you add all those things up, and that is your answer as to why we have an economy that's really going in the wrong direction.
We've got a budget in less than 2 weeks. How would you advise the government now, for a government that is going for growth, in a way of actually getting growth?
So there's a very simple choice. The choice is between the Chancellor doing what she says she's going to do, which is putting up taxes, which is going to put us into an even worse position because that will slow growth even further, or actually gripping government spending. And what you've got to do is get spending under control, particularly welfare spending. Getting people back into work and making savings as a consequence, which you can then use not just to not have to put up taxes, but actually to reduce taxes. Now, what this government is actually saying is that they failed to get through some welfare reform past their backbench that they're looking into trying to fill with tax rises, but they're also saying it's highly likely that they're going to be scrapping the 2-child limit on benefits, so the people that are on benefits or want large families, that's going to be paid for by taxpayers too. And I think those are the wrong choices. What they should be doing is controlling spending and getting taxes down and the economy moving. Yeah,
but you were being mocked by the Prime Minister in PMQs yesterday, weren't you? Because he was saying the Tories' plan is for £47 billion of spending cuts. He says you've no way of doing it.
Well, he would, wouldn't he? But that's just not accurate. We set out at our conference in a speech that I gave exactly how that £47 billion breaks down. There's £23 billion in savings on the welfare budget by making sure, for example, those with more mild mental health conditions, anxiety, mild depression, ADHD, etc., are not going on to these longer-term health benefits, but are actually being helped and encouraged into work. There are many things that you do. We talk about taking the size of the civil service back to the level it was in 2016. It's grown by 37% since then. All of those things are achievable, and they do add up to a £47 billion saving. And that's why we were able to both have our golden rule, which says at least half of those savings have to go in terms of reducing the deficit and getting the debt down, and the other half is then available for tax cuts. So we were talking about, or made a commitment to scrap stamp duty on property, prices as property sales as a terrible tax, also abolishing business rates for 250,000 small businesses in our high streets, and a big bold offer to younger people as a tax break for when they take their first job. Those are the kind of things that get economies moving, not just constantly raising taxes.
What have you made of the briefing war that we've seen this week from Number 10, names such as Shabana Mahmood and Wes Streeting allegedly going for the top job, threatening Sir Keir Starmer's leadership? What have you made of the scenes we've seen in the last couple of days?
Well, I think it shows a particular level of incompetence that a Prime Minister with a massive majority, just over a year out from having won a landslide in a general election, is now fearful for his own position. And it does seem, just I think to the outside world, entirely chaotic that Number 10 appears to have been briefing against cabinet ministers, Wes Streeting in particular, apparently as a ruse to try and convince people that nobody should try and stand against him or effect a coup against the Prime Minister. And all this, of course, has spectacularly backfired. But the really serious point here is that what the government should be projecting is grip and competence to get on top of the kind of challenges that we've just been discussing around the economy. We need a government that is about grip and competence, not chaos and incompetence, if we're to get through the real challenges that we have as a country.
What I'm struck by, and talking to you and talking to your colleagues over the last few days, is no one is jumping on this, and indeed neither of the Lib Dems, saying, yes, Starmer needs to go, which is sort of what people watching and listening might expect. Why aren't you doing that?
Well, I think, look, it's a matter for the Labour Party whether they make a move against the Prime Minister, and what we're hearing at the moment is that there is a strong undercurrent and an appetite for that, and we'll have to see where that goes. What we're calling for is competent government. We need to have a government that starts to get a grip, that gets itself out of all these noises off, the sort of West End farce that's been going on in and around Number 10, and takes the serious, tougher decisions, for which you do need a backbone, I'm afraid, particularly around spending, so that we can get government spending under control and, as a consequence, not have to put up taxes in the way that the Chancellor has been suggesting she will in the budget.
But with respect, Sir Mel, there's going to be people raising an eyebrow at those comments when they think about how certainly the last end of that Tory government was characterised by chaos and infighting and briefing and the unseating of Boris Johnson and then Liz Truss and finally on to Rishi Sunak. I mean, that was absolute chaos and anarchy there, and you certainly weren't getting a grip at the time as a government.
So, look, the past, in a sense, is the past. And I think as a party we have said that along with a lot of things that we did very right, there were a number of things that we got wrong. And I think you put your finger on part of that particular story. But we've got to deal with what we have at the moment. And it doesn't help the country that we have a Prime Minister that is presiding over complete chaos and dysfunction in Number 10, when there are now calls for his Chief of Staff to be sacked, and there's now an investigation going on as to who leaked and briefed against fellow members around the cabinet table. That's the kind of thing that a Prime Minister and his team have to get a grip on. And it doesn't make the public feel confident that perhaps they're taking the right decisions on areas like our economy and getting the cost of living pressures down, and all the things that people are struggling with at the moment, if they see all of that going on.
Can I just ask you, because you mentioned advisors, Morgan McSweeney in this case, I mean, these key advisors have been a key part of government now since Tony Blair's day, when we became much more aware of it, with starting with Alistair Campbell, and we had everybody else since, and a lot of big names, really, and a lot of problems. Do we need to reassess? If you get back into government, would you reassess how these advisors are used, how much power they actually hold?
I don't think it's so much about that, Stephen. I think it's about who you choose to bring into your team and then how you manage and lead that team. And that ultimately does come down to the Prime Minister of the day. And we've seen what this Prime Minister has done in that respect. Remember, Morgan McSweeney isn't the first Chief of Staff. There was Sue Gray initially, and he fell out with her, and she's now in the House of Lords. And now we've got problems around Morgan McSweeney as well. So I think it really comes down to leadership, and that's not what we're seeing from this government.
Can I ask you, just before we let you go, about your response to the Prime Minister referring himself to Sir Lawrie Magnus, the number 10 ethics advisor? This is over the appointment of a Labour donor as the first chair of England's new football regulator. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I think it's just another example of extraordinary incompetence. So the situation is that because the Prime Minister received various gifts, football tickets and all of that kind of stuff, he entered into an agreement whereby he would recuse himself for decisions that related to football. But then when it came to the appointment of the independent football regulator, what happened was he was part of the signing off process for that appointment. I mean, you would have thought that at the point that his pen hovered over the page, he would have thought, hold on a minute, I shouldn't be doing this.
Well, to be fair to him, he says he only replied on the basis that he believed the decision had already been taken.
Well, he may or may not have done, but then if that were the case, why is it that when he wrote to Lawrie Magnus, the ethics advisor, Sir Lawrie Magnus wrote back to him saying that what had happened was regrettable. It was clearly a mistake and it should not have happened. And it just speaks to this wider point, I think, about a lack of grip in and around number 10 and a lack of leadership from the Prime Minister.
OK. Mel, good to see you. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I don't know. I'll tell you what I'm not convinced by is the role of these political advisors. They have various different titles. A lot of it. I mean, Mel's saying it's not the job that's the problem. It's the way they're sort of managed by their bosses.
But yet,
right?
yes.
Except we had it with Blair. We had it with David Cameron. There was problems. We had it with Theresa May, with her too. We had it with Boris Johnson, with Dominic Cummings. I mean, it's a repeating issue. These people who've got so much power in government that are completely unelected, and they seem to be ruling the roost.
And the other problem is they become the story. I mean, we saw it last year, didn't we, with Sue Gray? We're seeing it all over the front pages today with Morgan McSweeney. It's a distraction from the government's work. That's what it is. But anyway... It
needs to be looked at, really.
It does.
Anyway.
Our political correspondent, Catherine Forster, has been listening across to all of that. What did you make of it, Catherine?
Well, here we go again. I mean, the Labour Party promised, didn't they, an end to infighting. They promised sort of calm, competent government to tread more lightly on people's lives. And this level of infighting and chaos at the heart of government, less than a year and a half after the Prime Minister got this massive majority, it's quite extraordinary. On Morgan McSweeney, his Chief of Staff, though, I think it is worth saying, he is the reason why Sir Keir Starmer is Prime Minister, because basically he worked away when Jeremy Corbyn was PM behind the scenes for years and years and years, trying to sort of rebuild under the radar to get in a position where they could move forward after Jeremy Corbyn was defeated. He chose Sir Keir Starmer. So he really is the sort of mastermind behind the whole project. And also, he's absolutely key. If they want to try to win back those red wall votes that, you know, lent their votes to Boris Johnson in 2019 and came back to Labour in 2024, he understands those voters and the need to get a grip on immigration, improve people's, cost of living and things like that. If they get rid of him, and certainly there are plenty and plenty of people saying he has got to go, it's likely that there will be a shift away from that. And part of the problem is that the Prime Minister isn't very clear, really, on what he wants to do, what his overarching purpose is. And he hasn't paid as much attention to being on good terms with MPs as perhaps he needed to. He hasn't spent as much time. I mean, he is doing now. But, you know, there's Labour MPs pretty much said that they've never had a conversation with him, never been invited to number 10, that they feel unloved. The whole thing is an almighty mess. We're 2 weeks away from a budget, which is likely to be pretty painful for many of us. I mean, we fully expect income tax to go up, all sorts of other difficult choices that Rachel Reeves says she's got to make. And now we look like we're streeting for all the denials that he's been doing anything, we know he'd like the top job. He came out looking very good yesterday. The Prime Minister had to pick up the phone and basically apologise. And who knows where we'll be, you know, in a few weeks or after the May elections. None of this is helpful when people just want a government who's actually going to deliver and make their lives better.
OK. Catherine, good to see you. Thank you very much.
Now, Donald Trump has given the BBC until 10 p.m. tomorrow to respond to a legal claim where he's threatened to sue the broadcaster for $1 billion.
Well, former BBC journalist Danny Shaw joins us now. Good to see you this morning, Danny. When you were working at the BBC, were you aware of any institutional bias at the corporation? Is it something that you saw or felt in the newsroom?
I think, having reflected on it after 31 years at the BBC, I have to be honest and say that the BBC does brilliant things and brilliant reporting and brilliant programmes, and you do, as a journalist there, strive to be balanced, to be fair, to be impartial. But there is a sort of a groupthink that can develop in some programmes and some programme teams. A way of looking at the world or a way of looking at particular subjects in which unfashionable views or views which are a little bit out of kilter with what the majority of people in the room are thinking are sort of ignored or not taken forward. It's quite subtle. Yeah. It's quite difficult to sort of put your finger on, and it's definitely not a political bias. I can absolutely assure you of that, because it's, you know, as a journalist, you give a hard time to governments, whether they're Labour or whether they're Conservative. That's your job, to scrutinise what governments do. You know, the reporting of the Labour government by the BBC is as tough as it was on the Conservatives and so on. It's more of a kind of, you go where the fashion is. And I think particularly on transgender issues, you know, I didn't really report on that myself, but what I detected was the BBC went with the sort of the zeitgeist at that time, and, you know, and appointed particular correspondents who would only cover those subjects. And I think in some ways, I think they ignored some other voices in that very contested debate. That's one example, and I think there are others.
But, and forgive me, Danny, but while that is concern, it's not unique to the BBC. I think it's happened across a lot of big media organisations over a very long period of time, and it does need to be addressed. However, there's a very big jump between something like that growing and developing and sort of sitting in the background, compared to when you look at what happened on Panorama, where someone made a deliberate choice to edit a speech in a way that changed its fundamental meaning. Now, that goes beyond any journalistic rules.
I absolutely agree with you, Stephen. I mean, it's a basic rule. You don't internally edit speeches if they change the meaning of what you're doing. It's just a complete no-no, right? Mm. You know, and you know, it's such a simple thing to address. It's such a simple thing to correct, to make it clear to the viewer that you've taken 2 bits, or to put a line of script in by the presenter or narrator. You know, it's so simple to correct it, and so I am staggered, and I have to tell you. You know, privately, you know, there are groups of former journalists who I'm in contact with, and amongst us, we are all absolutely staggered that a mistake could be made like that on a high-profile programme, the flagship current affairs programme on the BBC. And okay, someone perhaps junior makes a mistake, but then it gets through, you know, the layers of editing and scrutiny that you would expect in a programme like Panorama. And then earlier this year, when it's brought to, and it's such a good edit, you don't really notice it. And then earlier this year, it's brought to the attention of senior executives in the news division, and they don't, you know, and they basically try and block, and they don't sort of own up and say, yes, we got this wrong, we're very sorry. And if they'd done that early this year, I don't think we would be sitting here now discussing the departure of the Director General and the Head of News. I honestly don't think we would be.
Well, just very briefly, Danny, because we are actually out of time with you, but just on that point, what have you made of the reaction of Deborah Turness and of Tim Davie, both outgoing now, this week? I mean, not addressing the elephant in the room, kind of saying, oh, nothing to see here, the BBC's wonderful, does wonderful journalism, very proud of our teams. What do you make of that as a response?
Look, I think the departures tell you everything you need to know. I understand why, they have to try and keep morale up and they have to try and praise the work that's going on. And I understand why they're doing that. And to say there isn't an institutional problem, I don't know if it's institutional, but I certainly think in some teams and in some programs, there has been some serious problems. And that needs to be addressed by the new people, and we need new people there, not existing people who have been perhaps a party to some of these mistakes, but fresh people, fearless journalists leading that organisation, supported by a strong team that can make tough decisions. That's what is needed now to take the BBC forward.
Danny, really good to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. And it should be a wake-up call, actually, for all news organisations to make sure that if they have a problem like that, it's sorted. And if they don't, that they don't let it start.
Yeah, don't let groupthink start in newsrooms. Right, let's have a look at the weather, shall we, at 22 minutes past 8.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning, I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Through today there'll be a bit of a three-way split when it comes to our weather. Cold in the north with a few wintry showers, very mild with a lot of fine weather across southern parts. In between, however, it's a much wetter story. Some persistent and quite heavy rain across Northern Ireland, southern Scotland and northern England through this morning. The rain breaking up and easing a little bit as we head into the afternoon. Across Scotland, like I say, there will be some showers around, could be falling as sleet or snow, but also some sunny spells. A chilly feel here though, temperatures struggling. Meanwhile, across central and southern England, well, lots of fine sunny weather to be had and temperatures well above average for the time of year, feeling, well, relatively warm in the sunshine for some. As we go into the evening, sticking with the chilly feel across parts of Scotland, a bit of frost developing quite quickly as we go overnight, and also a few more showers, some still falling as sleet or snow. Across Northern Ireland, southern Scotland and northern England, staying pretty cloudy. There will be a few outbreaks of rain at times as well, not as heavier as they will have been during the daytime. And then further south, well, central parts of England and Wales ending the day largely fine, but rain persistent and heavy pushing into some southern counties and then feeding further northwards as we go overnight. Now, it is going to be quite heavy. We could see some rainfall totals building up for some places, but across the northern half of the UK, staying drier with some clearer skies across parts of Scotland, so temperatures dropping even further. Could get as low as -4, -5 Celsius in some places, much milder where we have the cloud and rain further south. That rain's going to continue then for many places across England and Wales as we go through tomorrow. It could be quite heavy, particularly across the hills and mountains towards the south of Wales. High rainfall totals, perhaps up to 100 millimetres, could cause some impacts, particularly around some east-facing slopes. Further north, staying bright and fine, just a few showers to watch out for. Chilly here, much milder towards the south, but unpleasant in the wind and rain.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Still to come, there are reports that Adam Peaty, the Olympic swimmer, has banned his own mother from his wedding. What is going on? A wedding's just a family nightmare. We'll discuss it next.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel. Secretary is urging medical professionals to prescribe having a job as a form of treatment for anxiety and depression. West Streeting wants employment to be seen as being just as vital to health as diet and exercise. His comments come as the latest figures reveal there are more than 2.8 million people of working age who are economically inactive in the UK because of long-term sickness. Joining me now is a psychotherapist and broadcaster, Lucy Beresford. Lucy, good to see you. What do you make of this story? Prescribing going to work, basically.
In effect, that's what it's doing. And on the whole, I'm fully behind it because work is a very powerful mood lifter. It works on 3 levels, really. It gives you a sense of structure. It gives you somewhere that you have to go and to be there at certain times, maybe fulfill certain deadlines. It also gives you a sense of purpose. And we know from a lot of studies that when you have mental illness, and particularly when you have depression or anxiety, that sense of helplessness, worthlessness can be very debilitating, and it can send you on a downward spiral, make it very hard for you to get well. And yet if you have work, if you have a sense of purpose, if you have a mission, if you like, if you have goals, if you get improvements in your work and you get promoted, all of those things can be very beneficial. And the third thing, of course, is that in the workplace, we form human connections. We are very relational creatures, human beings. We come into this world physically joined to another person, and that is our template. We are longing for connection.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Now, are you feeling festive? Oh, let's see if I can find this view. I found a good view earlier.
Oh, did you?
Someone's been in touch about when they put up their Christmas tree, because we were asking when Emma's been in touch, saying, I live with my mum, we are Christmas obsessed. We have put the first of 5 trees up. Put it up in early October.
No.
Yes, 5 trees.
Oh, it's too much.
I think I've got pictures of 3 of them here.
Oh, well, I mean, they're very nice.
Really well decorated. I mean, there's barely any branches left. It's got a ball in every branch.
Yeah, very, very nice. Well, you could do with £40,000 to spend on Christmas, Emma, couldn't you?
You could. And £1,000 to spend on Christmas lunch as well. And a GB News festive goodie bag, which I believe also entails GB News baubles.
Baubles.
So you could put those on one of your 5 Christmas trees. So here are all of the details that you need for a chance to win.
You could win your entire Christmas on us this year, all magically delivered to you in time for the big day. There's cash, £30,000 in tax-free cash to make your new year go with a bang. There's also a further £10,000 to spend on all the gifts, the tree, the trimmings, everything you might need for a fantastic festive day. We've also got Christmas lunch for you, with £1,000 in vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. And finally, a festive GB News goodie bag, so there's something for everyone under the tree. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 8th of December. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
No, nobody wants a wedding drama. Plenty of people have had it, though. The Beckhams, of course, have been in their papers.
Yes.
With their son and daughter-in-law. Is it Brooklyn, that one? Because they didn't attend their lavish vow renewal.
Yes, now reports have emerged that the Olympic gold medalist, the swimmer Adam Peaty's mum, has been banned from his wedding to Gordon Ramsay's daughter, Holly. So we're asking this morning, why do weddings seem to bring out the very worst in families?
Let's talk to psychotherapist Lucy Beresford. Good morning.
Hello.
Look, they are high tension, often these sort of events, especially all the planning and all the rest of it. But to fall out with your mother, it causes damage that you can never repair.
That's right. I mean, the rifts can last a lifetime. And that's because the event is so emotional. We see it at funerals and we see it at weddings in particular. That idea that what you've got is a fight for territory, really, a fight for possession. And particularly when one particular child is moving into another family, that can stir up a lot of angst for the parent, for that generation. And things get said and things get seen, slights get perceived, and before you know it, you've got a full-blown crisis. But there have been stories around who gets to go for a hen party, for example. And I think it's very unusual to have an intergenerational hen party. Who wants to have their mother... You know, hen parties...
My mum wasn't at my hen party. She wouldn't want to be.
The thing is, they get quite
drunk.
They get
20,
quite
30 year
lewd. And
Yeah.
would you want your future mother-in-law to watch you play some variant of pinning the appendage on whatever? So I think there are reasons why you don't invite everybody, but then who gets the territory? I think if you can be much more magnanimous and accept that it isn't about losing a child but gaining a family, then you can have a very different mindset.
It's interesting, though, because just by raising all of that, there's a lot of focus on saying, well, Adam Peaty has uninvited his mother. But this, whatever the tension, it must be from both sides, presumably.
Yeah. That's right. And nobody will really know what it's about because they themselves will probably not know what it's about. And it may actually be about things historically that are now being brought up into the surface. But we see it at Christmas as well. In the run-up to Christmas, there will be tensions about who gets to go where on the day.
Why is that, again? Is it because it's a really emotional event?
No, because it's about power and territory and who owns who. And weddings are very symbolic of a change in power. You have control over your kids and then they go off and they lead their own life, they choose their own partners and they make choices that you might not agree with. And it's very, very hard sometimes for parents to let go at that level.
But how important is it then? What would your advice be in terms of a situation similar to this? Should you do whatever it takes to get some sort of reconciliation before the big day?
Not necessarily. Well, my first advice would be don't play it out in the papers. I mean, that's the most important thing. Do everything behind closed doors. But sometimes, for your own peace of mind, not having certain members of your family there might actually really help you. Just because they're your blood relative doesn't necessarily mean that you have an obligation to have them at your special day. You might spend the whole day really worried that they might ruin it. So I think sometimes you might have to park it and acknowledge that you can address the situation after the event, because the event has got too much emotion attached to it.
OK. Lucy Beresford, very good to see you, as always. Thank you very much.
Oh, it's interesting.
It certainly is. It's a mess, though, isn't it? It's all over the papers today.
Yeah.
Adam Peaty and Holly Ramsay.
Lucy is quite right. Keep it out of the papers.
Yeah.
It's not.
Well, for most of us, it's not a problem, is it?
Well, no.
Very difficult for all of the families involved.
Yeah, it is. Right. Now, if you are travelling to work or school this morning, it is 8:34. You better get your skates on. Here's your traffic and travel update.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The M8 at junction 28 has eastbound restrictions due to an incident. In South Gloucestershire, on the M4 eastbound exit slip at junction 19, a collision closed one lane. In Essex, the M25 anti-clockwise has a broken down vehicle between junctions 27 and 26, closing one of 4 lanes. The M1 southbound entry slip at junction 37 in Barnsley is closed after a vehicle left the carriageway. And on the trains, Avanti West Coast services face disruption between Lockerbie and Oxenholme Lake District. Great Western Railway has replaced trains with taxis between Exeter, St David's and Barnstaple. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Now, do stay with us. Still to come, Aidan McGee is going to be joining us with the latest in the world of sport. That's next.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/your say. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Right, time for the sport. Aidan's here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Again. Do you want to kick off with a bit of boxing?
Yeah, why not? I mean, look, could be controversial what's about to happen, but Jake Paul, the influencer, the YouTuber, who's made tens of millions of dollars having fights on Netflix. We saw one against Mike Tyson last year, didn't we, that earned him about £50 million, I think it was, and 150 million people tuned in to watch on Netflix. And it looks like, given that his intended opponent for next month, Gervonta Davis, has a court case lingering over his head, he's pulled out of the bout. It looks like Anthony Joshua might be in a position to step in, and this is quick as well. November the 12th. I don't know what you think about it.
Quick.
Gareth A. Davis is in the Times this morning, or Telegraph rather, I should say, saying that it's £300 against £200. It's 6'2" against 6'7". It shouldn't be allowed to happen. But I've seen these fights before, Stephen, and I mean, I don't know what you thought of the Mike Tyson one, but I felt that there was a bit of choreography going on. It was theatre. It was WWE.
Yeah.
And I felt that it was almost being stage managed. I mean, they weren't real fights. I mean, if it was a real fight between Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul, there's only one winner. But Anthony Joshua clearly feels that he's made enough money from the sport. Whether this is going to be a tune-up fight for a big fight against Tyson Fury next summer, which would blow the socks off everything else really, because it'd be at Wembley. I don't know, but it's the way boxing looks like it's going now. We're seeing more of these exhibition fights, these kind of show events, as you said. Even Ben against Eubank, you could say, is that as well, because there's no belt at stake. But the numbers will be good, and that ultimately is what will govern the future direction of these fights, whether you think it's sad or not.
And Conor Benn thinks that Chris Eubank Jr. is going to retire after this weekend.
I think it's possible, Ellie, yeah, because I don't really see where else he goes in his career. He's getting a bit older, of course. He's done quite a lot already. He definitely didn't scale the heights that his father did, but he's patched up his relationship with his dad. The payday for this, even allowing for the rehydration clause, which could, on the day, cost him £300,000 if he doesn't meet the weight, he could still be looking at a purse of it well into the millions, and I think that might be enough for Chris Eubank Jr. to then sail off into the sunset, having dispatched Conor Benn, if he wins, of course, which I think he will.
Michael Vaughan.
Yes.
Former England cricket captain.
Yeah, well,
got his knickers in a twist.
A little bit, yeah. So England captain Ben Stokes has swanned into Australia. He's been the subject of some front pages over there trying to target him. They clearly see him as somebody who needs to be attacked, as a danger man. The problem is down here is that they've only got one training match, it seems, and a preparation match before the Ashes begins in Perth on November 21st. Ian Botham described that as bordering on arrogance. This is the whole Bazball thing.
Yeah.
I know you want Baz out. You know, I know your opinion on him.
Fan.
Jeff Boycott called it madness, and he had some choice words for him. He said Ben Stokes responded by saying, "We can't prepare how the has-beens prepared." Very, you know, considering Ian Botham, Graham Gooch, Jeff Boycott, Michael Vaughan, most of those have been captains of England in the past. I think all of them
but
probably
times have changed.
They have.
I'm actually with Ben Stokes on this one, because people do it in this business when they're retired and they say, oh, it's not like it used to be, you shouldn't do it. It's like...
But don't you just have to... It's water off a duck's back, isn't it? If you're the captain of England, you've got to deal with it. You don't make derogatory remarks about people who've really achieved some exceptional things in the sport. That's just my view.
Yeah, well, fair enough.
It's underway from November 21st, and we're excited about it.
Right. Yeah. OK. Lovely.
Good to see you this morning.
Thank you very much indeed.
Good to see you, Aidan. Thank you. Now, do stay with us. Still to come, we're going to be going through the papers with Penny and Tim. But first, if you're in search of some holiday sun, here's the forecast across Europe.
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Storm Claudia will continue to affect parts of Iberia as we go through tomorrow. It's continuing to bring heavy rain, thunder, large hail across parts of the Canary Islands, Portugal and particularly western parts of Spain, but it is pushing its way further east. Meanwhile, actually across many central and eastern parts of the Mediterranean, staying largely fine, some decent sunshine on offer and temperatures about what you'd expect for the time of year. Staying pretty unsettled for many across Spain as we go into the weekend.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
They do say, Oggy, that we are what we eat. Just looking up and down. But anyway, I mean, during your sporting career, when you was a cricketer, you'd have been a lot slimmer, eating different food probably, a different regime. Tell us about
that. To be fair, wasn't eating a lot of different food, but I was active. I went into the gym, I was on a cricket pitch 5 days out, and you burned the food off, so you didn't have to really watch what you ate. And for the last 12 years, I've been putting things in and not burning them off.
Okay, yeah, it's time to take that. But you're a Yorkshireman. And you play cricket for Yorkshire. It's a great honour for a Yorkshireman, isn't it, to play cricket for his
Massively,
county?
yeah.
Because back in the day, you had to be born in Yorkshire, didn't you, to actually play for Yorkshire?
Yeah, I was born back in Yorkshire. My mum and dad were in Pelsall. We moved back into Yorkshire, so I was born in the county, so I was allowed to play for it. But I was a late bloomer. 18, I wasn't playing for the academy, and I got a Yorkshire contract late on. And it just went really, really quickly.
So how does it work? A lot of young people playing these sports at school and that, they played probably football, rugby, and cricket, weren't there? Was that you?
Yeah, so at school, I went to a comprehensive school. I had a choice of football or football.
Yeah.
Wasn't my favourite sport, but I wanted to play sport, so I played football for school, and then in the winter I played rugby for my local rugby club, and then cricket for my local cricket club in the summer.
So when did it really start for you at cricket then? So when did that penny drop that you wanted to be a cricketer?
A big piece of luck. Phil Carrick came into Pudsey Kongs, who was an ex-Yorkshire captain, saw me playing third team and put me in the first team. And so I was 17,
Why did he do
18.
that?
He saw something in me. I don't know, because everybody else had overlooked me. I think it's because I swung the ball away.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Right, we're going through the papers with Penny and Tim at 8:47. Morning again, you two. Should we have a look, Penny, antibiotics in the Guardian? Because I love talking about medical stuff.
Well, I tell you why we love talking about medical stuff is because it actually, there are the vast majority of people in Britain will, at some stage, by the time that they're in their 20 years and 10, they will have had a brush with antibiotics. And this story is that deaths linked to antibiotic resistance have gone up by 17%, which is staggering. Now, we knew this was coming along because partly to do with, I think it was the 70s when it particularly started, 60s and 70s, particularly started, antibiotics started being given for things that they were that they were not suited for. And so we started ending up with these superbugs. And that these superbugs that do not respond to frontline antibiotics, this is official figures, are saying it's raising concerns about the increase in antimicrobial resistance. We need new antibiotics.
We do.
That's it. The problem, and it's particularly a problem, of course, with people who go into hospitals and get these superbugs, because, of course, they're already compromised. And then these things get in there, and each time, and they're getting stronger. These, I mean, I'm making them sound like they've actually got sort of, workouts and stuff, but it's just what they're doing.
The problem is, though, when you really, really need them, your body's so accustomed to them, they don't do the job that they were. I keep some antibiotics in my travel bag just in case I'm abroad and something happens and you need them, but as a rule, I won't take them unless I have to, and it's been medically insisted that I will take them.
Well, you have to finish the course as well, though, because that can't help.
How funny. And, of course, that is mentioned in here about the fact that whenever the drugs are used, even if you use them properly, they wipe out some bugs, but the survivors multiply and are transmitted and become these.
This is why I know people get very annoyed about pharmaceuticals, and they make vast amounts of money, but they need to be, because they spend billions on research and development. So we need them. We need them to make more money so that they can actually develop these new drugs which are going to work for us, otherwise we're in a heck of a state.
Exactly.
Tim, can we have a look at this panther in Wales?
It's in your neck of the woods.
It is my neck of the woods. Holidaymakers claim a big cat, quote, the size of a Labrador... I want you to read between the lines on this story if you can. The size of a Labrador retriever... is roaming the countryside. A beast with a very long and thick tail on Anglesey, Wales, has been reported to Puma Watch North, Wales. Didn't even know that was a thing. Passengers in 2 cars claim they saw the mysterious creature on Friday, October the 24th. One, named only as Joe, didn't want to give his surname, said, I got a good look at him, much larger than a domestic cat.
Looked remarkably like a dog.
like Labrador. No, listen, I want to know... Puma Watch North Wales.
Yes.
I know. Somebody should make a show about this. We're screaming out for...
I want to know what happens at Puma Watch North Wales. Are you doing that?
I'm just
We're looking
at it now.
I love that.
See, I used to live in the States, and you would see, you could see remarkably big, or the chance of seeing really dangerous animals, even coyotes out there. But in this country, I don't think we would have known by now if there's actually a puma in Anglesey walking around. Anglesey's an island.
Got Puma Watch North Wales.
You know what? This happens more regularly than you think. There was also a spotting of a large black cat, potentially
stalking
puma,
sheep.
Stalking sheep in August.
Yeah, but then, you know, it's probably a large black cat. It's not a puma.
And there
or
was,
a black lab, yeah.
And there was one case fairly recently, wasn't there, where they spotted this animal which they thought was some kind of lion, and then they found this animal, and it was a dog, and it had been groomed in a certain way so that it looked like it had a big old lion's mane and then a very, very skinny body and then this tail with a kind of bit on the end, and it did look just like a lion.
I was going to read some of the stuff, but unfortunately you might know this one, Tim. I can't do it, but a possible panther sighting, this was from March 2023, has been reported at Llanfair Pilliwili.
Oh, go.
That's
Can you do it?
No, I can't, but that name is worth about 100 points in Scrabble. It's had quite a few vowels and consonants in that one, yeah. But I do think, if I was being a bit ungenerous, that these spottings happen to places where there needs some more tourists to go. So, you know, as they are beautiful places in Wales to visit, and you might see a puma on your walks.
Penny, let's have a look at the stars, shall we? And humans may have 7 senses.
This is extraordinary because I've always thought that there is something else. Boffins. This is in the star.
Boffins.
I know, the star loves the words boffins. Boffins reckon that humans may have a 7th sense because they've discovered that we could possess the remote touch, the ability to sense a buried object without touching it. So they did this experiment where all these volunteers were asked to drag their index fingers through a metre-long box of dry sand, and hidden in each box was a small plastic cube. And the volunteers were asked to keep going until something felt a bit off.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I do agree with these sort of weird things because
really,
well, there's just something, isn't there? You know, like they did that experiment about people, and they had them in a cafe setting, and they said, "Is anybody looking at you?" And they discovered that there was a sense that people were looking at you.
You do know if
you do know, and you look round and catch
feel
them.
it.
Yes, you can, even though there is
someone's
nothing,
glare,
because
can't
after
you?
all, nobody has laser eyes.
I think if you lose one of your senses, apparently your other senses become heightened, don't they? If somebody loses their sight, then their touch. I can't really... I used to smoke, and I don't smoke anymore, but my sense of smell has gone, really. I don't smell things as easily as everybody else. But I don't think I'm a Spider-Man. I don't have any better senses. I'm not sure I quite believe that.
I don't know, you see, I get it. When I was younger, you know, you had your CD player and you used to be able to put it on shuffle.
Yes.
Yeah. I always knew what the next track was going to be.
Oh, my
That's
God.
spooky.
And things like that. On the rare occasion I am in London and I get on a tube, I move myself. When the trains come in, I move myself along the platform and I know where the door's going to be.
Wow.
You're spooky.
And the door's always
right do you know what? You see, so you've got a superpower. My superpower is going out in the morning and collecting spiders' webs on my head for some reason. I always seem to be the person who just...
So when you're looking for pumas.
Exactly. It's exactly it. But isn't it? I do. I think it's fascinating.
I do think people have a little bit of natural oddness. Oh, a quick look at dog names.
Yes.
A few seconds.
Does anybody have any dog? Do you have dog?
Yeah.
Rex.
I'd like a dog called Wilbur.
Wilbur.
What have
And
you
I've
named
got
him?
Wilf.
Wilf and Wilbur.
Vibes,
Yeah,
similar
they have.
vibes.
We've got the top 10 trending puppy names.
Yes,
Could
puppies,
be
yeah.
Augie,
No.
Pekin,
No.
Sesame,
What do you mean?
Wolf,
No.
Arn Dougal. See, I've got a friend of mine who's called George. He happened to marry his wife who's called Georgina, so they're both Georges, and they had a border terrier that they called George the Third. And I think that's a really nice... Yes, so there's 3 Georges in the
Tragic.
You have to
Tragic. Right, thank you both. It's been a joy.
Thanks, you two. Here's the weather.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning, I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Through today there'll be a bit of a three-way split when it comes to our weather. Cold in the north with a few wintry showers, very mild with a lot of fine weather across southern parts. In between, however, it's a much wetter story. Some persistent and quite heavy rain across Northern Ireland, southern Scotland and northern England through this morning. The rain breaking up and easing a little bit as we head into the afternoon. Across Scotland, like I say, there will be some showers around, could be falling as sleet or snow, but also some sun sunny spells. A chilly feel here, though, temperatures struggling. Meanwhile, across central and southern England, well, lots of fine sunny weather to be had, and temperatures well above average for the time of year, feeling, well, relatively warm in the sunshine for some. As we go into the evening, sticking with the chilly feel across parts of Scotland, a bit of frost developing quite quickly as we go overnight, and also a few more showers, some still falling as sleet or snow. Across Northern Ireland, southern Scotland and northern England, staying pretty cloudy. There will be a few outbreaks of rain at times as well, not as heavier as they will have been during the daytime. And then further south, well, central parts of England and Wales, ending the day largely fine, but rain, persistent and heavy, pushing into some southern counties and then feeding further northwards as we go overnight. Now, it is going to be quite heavy. We could see some rainfall totals building up for some places, but across the northern half of the UK, staying drier with some clearer skies across parts of Scotland, so temperatures dropping even further. Could get as low as -4, -5 Celsius in some places, much milder where we have the cloud and rain further south. That rain's going to continue then for many places across England and Wales as we go through tomorrow. It could be quite heavy, particularly across the hills and mountains towards the south of Wales. High rainfall totals, perhaps up to 100 millimetres, could cause some impacts, particularly around some east-facing slopes. Further north, staying bright and fine, just a few showers to watch out for. Chilly here, much milder towards the south, but unpleasant in the wind and rain.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for helping us reach 8 million followers across social media. Thank you for making us a part of your daily life.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the M74 northbound between junctions 15 and 14, a traffic incident partially blocks the road. M4 eastbound from junction 34 to 33 sees delays. M1 southbound entry slip at junction 37 in Barnsley is closed due to an off-road accident. M25 anti-clockwise between junctions 27 and 26 in Essex has one lane closed due to a broken down vehicle. Kent's M20 eastbound entry at junction 8 is closed for accident investigations. And on the trains, Avanti West Coast sees disruption between Lockerbie and Oxenholme Lake District. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
You could win your entire Christmas on us this year, all magically delivered to you in time for the big day. There's cash, £30,000 in tax-free cash to make your new year go with a bang. There's also a further £10,000 to spend on all the gifts. We've also got Christmas lunch for you, with £1,000 in vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. And finally, a festive GB News goodie bag, so there's something for everyone under the tree. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Good morning. Could a general election be on the horizon?
Well, allies of Keir Starmer are warning Labour MPs that any move to oust the Prime Minister could backfire and trigger a national vote.
Comes as tensions at the top of government show no signs of easing after a row inside Downing Street over West Streeting appears to have misfired, with suggestions the PM's chief aide is to blame.
Well, here's the Health Secretary addressing that rumour.
Most unwarranted attack on a faithful since Joe Marler was banished in the Traitors final, and I think whoever's been briefing this should spend a little less time watching Celebrity Traitors and a bit more time watching Country File.
So, has the Prime Minister lost control?
Well, the Prime Minister is certainly in trouble. Plenty of Labour MPs and Cabinet Ministers pretty fed up with him, but no obvious way to get rid of him. Meanwhile, people around the country want a government who delivers for them.
Well, there is a little bit of brighter news for the government, sort of. The UK economy has grown by 0.1% between July and September, ahead of the budget in 2 weeks' time. But earlier we spoke to the Shadow Chancellor, Mel Stride.
0.1% growth over the last quarter is considerably less than the 0.3% in the quarter before. So what we're seeing is an economy that is slowing down overall, not growing.
Our Home and Security Editor, Mark White, is going to be joining us in the studio with an exclusive on the small boats crisis.
It's quite a mixed bag of weather through today. In the south, lots of fine sunshine to be had, and with that feeling very mild. But all change tomorrow is going to bring some heavy rain and strong winds. Stick around to find out the details.
It's just gone 9 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast. Now, we're going to kick off this hour with an exclusive, a GB News exclusive, that people smugglers and migrants are operating with near impunity in French coastal towns, with residents being terrorised by increasing levels of migrant criminality and violence.
Well, we've filmed exclusive images of large groups of migrants wandering around towns wearing life jackets, seemingly unchallenged by the police.
Well, let's speak now to our Home and Security Editor, Mark White, who's here to bring us all the details. Morning to you, Mark. What have you found out?
Well, the most damning evidence yet of the way in which these migrants are just wandering about unchallenged by the French police. Let's show you our first sequence of videos. Now, you can see that these videos were taken in various locations in Gravelines, which is near one of the main buses, beach stops where the boats launch from, also in Grand Fort Philippe and down in Calais as well. You can see this is broad daylight as these migrants, some wearing their life jackets, others clearly openly carrying them, are just wandering about, completely unchallenged. One senior maritime source that we spoke to said the very least the police should be doing is stopping them and confiscating these life jackets, because effectively these life jackets are enabling the illegal migration across the English Channel. Look at this, just wandering, large groups of them down the streets, completely unchallenged. And it's not just the fact that police are not intervening to confiscate these, to detain them, find out what their immigration status is. It's also about the increasing levels of criminality and disorder in town centres. Let's show you this next piece of video that shows just what local residents are having to put up with.
It's like a football crowd.
Yeah, no, it is, absolutely. This is the early hours of the morning in the town of Gravelines, just a mile or so from the beach. This is a group of migrants who had been unable to launch their boat across to the UK. They're then chanting Allahu Akbar and clashing with the police here in Gravelines. And local residents are, you know, absolutely terrorised. They told us that they feel completely besieged by what is going on there almost nightly the disorder that's taking place in towns like Gravelines with these large groups that are not just clashing with the police, but they are targeting local residents as well. They're smashing up cars, local beach huts, there's graffiti everywhere. Crime rates have soared in the areas around Gravelines, Calais, Dunkirk.
So why aren't the French police clamping down on this, Mark? I mean, we've sent them how many millions of pounds? Hundreds of millions?
To some extent they are. I mean, you can see from the nighttime shots, they are challenging them in this disorder in the town centre. But then couple that with the fact that any other time, they're just allowed to wander free, unchallenged in any way by the local authorities. Now, remember, Sir Keir Starmer's told us all about smashing the gangs and going after the supply lines off the boats that are ending up on the beaches and then across to the UK. The next sequence of videos we want to show you shows a new type of boat or a design of boat complete with go faster stripes there, which is just ridiculous, but that's it. This is a factory in Turkey that's knocking out these boats, as I say, with this big red stripe down the side. So that's very distinctive, and it points to the fact that, you know, they get their boats from lots of different suppliers. So you can knock out one supply, but then they'll come and they'll get this natty looking one straight out of Starsky and Hutch by the looks of it. And to show you that not only are they being assembled, but actually they're being launched now from the beaches in France, we can show you this image. You can see this just taken at the weekend where 2,000 plus migrants crossed. There you go. That type of boat with its go faster stripe, going fast across to the UK, bringing more than 2,000 migrants last weekend. So it just gives you an indication how these migrants are operating, and people smugglers with near impunity. And we've got another small window that's opening up today, a bit later today. Bad winds again this week in the Channel, but they'll ease off just enough. We might get some more. They might not come. It just, you can never, it's not an exact science, but we do know that any time the weather allows, usually we get them coming across in significant numbers.
Well, if they do, you'll bring that to us here on GB News, won't you, Mark? Thank you very much.
Well, let's turn our attention now to our political correspondent, Catherine Forster, who's also with us in the studio. We've got a house full.
We do, I like it.
This morning. It's very nice. Because, I mean, frankly, we are in a situation where people would want the Prime Minister to be focusing on this, but he's got this big civil war, basically, brewing on the front bench.
It's quite incredible, isn't it? He won a massive majority, although you could argue that was simply because people were so cross with the Conservatives. And here we are with briefing and counter-briefing and a toxic culture in number 10, we hear. And it's all spectacularly backfired because Wes Streeting, the Health Secretary, who has made no secret that he would like to have the top job one day, came out, of course, came out, made himself look very good. He's exceedingly good at media. He's probably their best media performer. The Prime Minister ended up having to pick up the phone and apologise. And it is a picture of chaos when people are worried about the cost of living, worried about food prices, worried about, you know, thousands of people crossing the Channel illegally and the government not seemingly able to get a grip. So for now, we've got this budget in 2 weeks. We know that almost certainly income tax is going to go up, probably a whole load of other taxes that are going to be painful too. Rachel Reeves says she's got no choice. The global picture has changed and so on. But people worried about that. And you know, Labour MPs have been very fed up with the Prime Minister for a long time. This is nothing new, but the sort of spectacular level of chaos that has erupted over the last couple of days. But, you know, even if they want to get rid of the Prime Minister, as many of them do, there is not an easy way. It's not like the Tories, who are very skilled in this. They would have to get 80 MPs to publicly get behind another candidate and go over the top. That would trigger a vote of confidence, which the Prime Minister, let's face it, might well win. And then ultimately, if it went further, Labour members would get votes. The unions would get votes. It is not easy to see how it would go.
So even if you got someone like Wes Streeting or the Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood getting 80 votes, triggering all of this and it going somewhere, you've got a very real possibility of someone from the left wing actually then getting nominated in the process and perhaps winning more of the votes.
Well, you have, because they have the same issue that the Conservatives have, that the Labour MPs initially would do the selecting and the getting behind, but ultimately the votes then are Labour members and the unions who will be to the left of, just as the Tory membership is to the left of the MPs, and you could end up probably with somebody on the left. Now, that might make certain sections of the party happy. It might peel back a few Labour voters that have gone over to Zach Polanski and the Greens, but then they would lose a whole load of voters on the other side. So the whole picture is pretty dreadful, unless the Prime Minister decided, maybe after the May elections, to stand down. But, you know, he really wanted this job. He's insistent that he's going nowhere. It has been let to be known that, you know, he will take on any challenges. But the whole picture is a mess, and I think people will be really fed up because they just want a government that's going to deliver and get on with dealing with the issues that they care about and make their lives better.
OK. Catherine, thank you very much.
Right, just to cheer you up in case you weren't feeling very happy after all of that. What about the Great British Giveaway, which is all about Christmas this year? We're going to give you a whole load of cash, if you win, to spend on Christmas.
Here are all the details that you need.
You could win your entire Christmas on us this year, all magically delivered to you in time for the big day. There's cash, £30,000 in tax-free cash to make your new year go with a bang. There's also a further £10,000 to spend on all the gifts, the tree, the trimmings, everything you might need for a fantastic festive day. We've also got Christmas lunch for you, with £1,000 in vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. And finally, a festive GB News goodie bag, so there's something for everyone under the tree. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 8th of December. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck. Now, do stay with us. Still to come, Sir Tony Robinson is going to be speaking to us about the stigma surrounding prostate cancer and why men need to go and get themselves checked. We're going to be talking about that. Really important conversation coming up next.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock, only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Now, it's 16 minutes past 9. We all know about prostate cancer, right? We all know what it is. We all know it. We probably all know someone who's had it or suffering with it or coping with it. And yet, as men, we're terrible at dealing with it, about addressing it, about getting checked. There isn't a national screening programme. It's a problem, and we never seem to address it. So how do we? So I thought one of the good things to do would be to talk to someone who probably has a cunning plan. So Tony Robinson, good morning to you. It's nice to see you, and it's something you've been through.
It is indeed, yeah. I just went for an insurance check. You know, in our business, you have to have a check before you do any new programme, so you don't drop down dead on the programme. And it was all very relaxed, as always, chatting with the doctor and all that. And then he phoned me up the next day and said, well, it's slightly worrying. Your PSA is a bit high. I said, what does that mean? And he said, well, it measures the levels of the potential antigens for prostate cancer that you've got. He said, you'll have to go to a specialist. I went to the specialist and he said, yes, you have got very early stages of the indications of prostate cancer. And of course, it felt like my life had collapsed immediately. You know, I was writing the will, I was doing everything. Well, the reality is he was quite cheery about it. He said, look, you're likely to die with this. You're not going to die of it, provided that we keep an eye on it all the time, make sure it doesn't flare up. And so ever since then, this, what I thought was going to be this terrible thing 12 years ago, all it means is that every 4 or 6 months, I have to get a check. That's all. But the good news is, and I've been listening to you for the last 20 minutes thinking, oh my God, what a terrible world we're living in. Everything's wrong. I have a great Christmas message for you. Hold on to your seats. If you want to have a check for prostate cancer, you no longer have to have a finger up your bum. Yes! Isn't that the best thing you've heard all day?
Well, that is, but it's funny that we laugh about it, and so we should really, but that is the big obstacle, isn't it? It's the one thing that puts people off.
Yeah, well, it's gone. It's floated away. Those fingers have floated up to the heavens. All you need to do now is have one of those tiny little blood tests, you know, pinprick in your arm, and they go away and check it and make sure you're all right. The real thing, the sensible thing to do is, if you think you might be at risk of having prostate cancer, go to Prostate Cancer UK, the website, and look at Risk Checker. And Risk Checker will tell you if you are at risk, and if you are at risk, just go to your doctor and chat to him about it. If you're not at risk, well, then go whistling off down the road. Everything's happy. So I think it's an example of a really scary cancer, which we're really beginning to learn sufficient about and are being able to take control about it. It's only the beginning. We'll get much further in the future, but I just think that's such wonderful news.
And talking about it and sharing that news is a really, really good place to start, and hopefully that encourages people to go and get a test. But on that note, there's no national screening programme, is there, for prostate cancer?
No,
Does there need to be?
Oh, absolutely. That's a good question. You hit it spot on. Cervical cancer, breast cancer, you know that something's going to come through the post and say it's time you had it. We haven't yet got that as far as prostate cancer is concerned. There is a project underway that is asking the government, certainly before the end of the year, to allow all those at high risk, that's black people, people with inherited characteristics, to be able to get them checked straight away. Fingers crossed that will happen. And within the next few years, we ought to be having national screening. The money is going in. If anyone's got a few bob free that they want into Prostate Cancer UK to invest in future global screening, that would be absolutely great. But I mean, we're getting there. We're getting there.
Well, yeah, it is good that progress is being made, but it is a battle. And men are notoriously bad when it comes to health, as we know, because we are just terrible. I don't know why, we are inherently terrible. You are entitled to a PSA test over the age of 50. I know certainly in my case, it was a battle. I had to fight to get one done.
Yeah. You know, when I'm doing things like this, of course, I want to kind of influence people to go and get tests, but you're also hoping to influence the GPs a bit, because GPs can get stuck in their ways, and they may be sticking their hands and their elbows up for 30 years to come unless someone says, "Oi, you don't need to do that anymore." I mean, if you think about what a prostate is, let's say it isn't, but let's say it's like a sort of tiny little peach inside you. If you stick your finger in it, you only get one side of it. What's happening on the other side, you don't get it at all. So it can only ever be a sort of 50% inspection anyway. It was better than nothing in the old days, but we don't need it anymore.
No, thankfully, I say PSAs and MRIs make life a whole lot better. Look, Tony, I can't let you go without, and I know you'll hate. I know you'll hate it, but Blackadder was such an iconic thing in this country, and it was such an iconic programme when I was growing up. Actually, do you miss those days?
No, I think my profession is one where you always look forward. You have these very intense relationships with particular scripts and with particular people, and sometimes, like with Blackadder, you're happy, you're lucky enough to hit the zeitgeist and everything goes wonderful for you. Then you move on. People are often asked, is there going to be another Blackadder? Everyone struggles with that, because in a way, yes, you'd like it to happen, but you know, if you look at the careers of all those people who were in it, they've gone on and on and on.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a way, it's best left alone in the place where it was, because it is so iconic. It's
it really is.
Real pleasure to talk to you, Tony. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you for joining us in such an important conversation as well, so thank you.
Thanks a lot. Have a good day.
And you. Right, coming up at 9:30, it's Andrew and Miriam. Morning, you two.
Good morning.
What have you got for us, you two?
Well, we've got exclusive footage of small boats in France and really frightening story about the massive increase in online child sexual grooming.
Children as young as 4 being groomed. Can you believe that?
That's horrific.
Isn't that shocking?
Horrific.
Lots of other stuff too about the meltdown at number 10. But first of all, we're going to give you the weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning, I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Through today there'll be a bit of a three-way split when it comes to our weather. Cold in the north with a few wintry showers, very mild with a lot of fine weather across southern parts. In between, however, it's a much wetter story. Some persistent and quite heavy rain across Northern Ireland, southern Scotland and northern England through this morning. The rain breaking up and easing a little bit as we head into the afternoon. Across Scotland, like I said, there will be some showers around, could be falling as sleet or snow, but also some sunny spells. A chilly feel here though, temperatures struggling. Meanwhile, across central and southern England, well, lots of fine sunny weather to be had and temperatures well above average for the time of year, feeling, well, relatively warm in the sunshine for some. As we go into the evening, sticking with the chilly feel across parts of Scotland, a bit of frost developing quite quickly as we go overnight, and also a few more showers, some still falling as sleet or snow. Across Northern Ireland, southern Scotland and northern England, staying pretty cloudy. There will be a few outbreaks of rain rain at times as well, not as heavier as they will have been during the daytime. And then further south, well, central parts of England and Wales ending the day largely fine, but rain persistent and heavy pushing into some southern counties and then feeding further northwards as we go overnight. Now, it is going to be quite heavy. We could see some rainfall totals building up for some places, but across the northern half of the UK, staying drier with some clearer skies across parts of Scotland, so temperatures dropping even further, could get as low as